Hello everyone, my name is Bruce Rain from Brankus Creations. Thank you for joining me. This is a fairly impromptu live stream. I kind of, well, this is something that I needed to do and I just thought, well, I may as well live stream it. I'm going to be in here doing it. Switch the cameras on, why not? Yes, to Retro Techie, you are quite correct. My thumbnail, I didn't make a thumbnail. I'll make a thumbnail after the live stream. Maybe take something from the live stream to use as a thumbnail. So that is just my generic background, which of course is a Macintosh SE30. So yes, we won't be fooling anyone into thinking that thumbnail is actually a MacBook Pro. This is an interesting one. This has come to me from a friend of mine, Noah Weepers. He lives in the state above me, Queensland, and he's sent me a fair bit of stuff to repair over the years. He found this massive haul of Mac computers a long time ago, and he made a few YouTube videos on it. He has a YouTube channel. I'll stick a link in the description. I got a super chat. Thanks, Mike. Thank you very much for that. Burn it with fire. So anyhow, I will put a link into Noah's YouTube channel. He does have a YouTube channel out there. So Noah Weepers is the channel name. His probably biggest claim to fame is he made a viral video about 5 years ago where he took a Mac Plus into an Australian Apple store, and sort of took it in there seeking some help and filmed it and then put it onto YouTube, and it's had like 1 million plus views of him, of the little stunt. I've watched bits of it. I haven't watched all of it because I hate pranks. I can't stand them. I can't stand watching pranks. So. But yeah, as I say, that's one of his main claims to fame. If you go onto his channel, you will find lots and lots of stuff about VWs as well. So if you like the little VW cars, he's your man. So anyhow, contacted me out of the blue the other day. Said, I've got hold of this 2019 MacBook Pro. Don't know what he paid for it, but I got the impression he paid very little for it or nothing. I'm not sure, but not working, dead. But liquid damaged, and I have opened this up and I can already see a nice glistening shiny thing. Now the fact that this has dried up, the glistening shininess is clearly sugar of some sort. So I'd say we've got, it could be a coffee, it could be a Coke, it could be something like that, but anyhow, it's definitely had some goop. So I'll just quickly do my normal thing of saying hello to people. I'll just move this thing here because I can't see crap with this stupid interface. I do wish they'd make it so that I could stop this from being transparent. I wonder if there's a way I can do that another way. Anyhow, hello to... Chat is now open to everyone. What does that mean? Okay. Hello, Joe. Hello to Retro Techie. Hello to Jay. SadMac356. Hello to Mikhail Andrade. I'm not sure if I've said that rightly. I apologise if I haven't. Steve Mac84 is here. I believe, Steve, you were doing something today, weren't you? You were cleaning up or tidying or moving things around or something along those lines. Hello to Mike from Mike's Mac Shack. People who may or may not have seen before. He was streaming a little bit before me. Mike has a second channel and it's called Mike's Arcade Adventures or Vintage Game Adventures or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Feel free to put the name in there and even the link to the channel if you want, Mike, so people can click on there and subscribe to it. Sean is here. Hello there. Hello from a Power Mac G5. So if I move like a robot, will I get in sync with your frame rate? I did it. Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad that I got it. Close enough for you to say that. So that's good. So anyhow, so Mike was streaming before, playing a game, the weirdest game I've ever seen in my life. It looks like Wolfenstein with fuzzy animals, but apparently it's a Doom patch. So, I don't know. Anyhow, it was just bizarre. So yeah, and had the most annoying music, and I had to actually have the volume down for most of that stream, I'm afraid, Mike. As much as I wanted to listen to you, the sound coming out of that game was just way too annoying. Okay, stop moving so fast. So yes, for those who don't know Sean from Action Retro, if you don't, well, you should. He's always getting the most and then some from his vintage devices, and obviously his G5. I assume this is that one, that massively specced out G5 you got. It's what's a quad core or something like that. 2.7 or something. I can't remember. You can remind me of the specs if you want to put that in the chat. Yes, and I imagine he's probably, Sean being Sean, he's probably put some version, some sort of distro of Linux on there somewhere, would be my guess. The Doom 2 mod. Yeah, okay. And it was trippy as all hell. I agree with you, Jay, totally. Jeremy Bolanos, found you. Here I am. Yeah, I didn't. There wasn't a lot of fanfare or sharing or prepping or anything like that for this live stream. It was very much a last minute thing. I did actually have a bit of a rush to kind of get here and happening. I was going to ride on Mike's coattails straight out of his live stream, but I was a bit late for that. He finished before I was ready. But as I said at the beginning, for anyone who missed the little intro, this is something I was doing today anyway. May as well do it with the cameras on. Might be able to share some information, or people might be able to share some information with me. Now, this is a MacBook Pro 2019 version. It's the one with the touchpad, 16-inch model. So this is the high-spec one at the time. There are a million things that I hate about this, specifically its repairability. I don't like the way the battery is stuck to the case. I don't like the way it's not upgradable. There are lots of things that I don't like about this. It's a very nice looking machine. It's a nice machine to hold. I think this one has the stupid butterfly keyboard, if I remember rightly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Quad G5, 25 gigahertz, 16 gigs of RAM. Void Linux, right? Okay, fair enough. So there we go. And I'll just change the camera here to the top view so we can see my messy desk. This is going to get tidy today. Do you know why? Because I'm doing some pre-recorded video stuff, and I need a tidy desk when I do pre-recorded stuff. I have recently welded myself a new stand for the camera that I have over here. It is my intention in the future to get that camera included in my live streams as well. I need to get a HDMI to USB converter for that. And I will be getting one of those very soon. I just buy those sorts of things from Amazon using Amazon gift vouchers that I get as part of my associate program. And I've used all my vouchers up, so I'm waiting till I get some new ones. So anyhow, I've recently taken up welding, and I welded a new bracket, and it is rock solid. And then I bought a fluid camera mount, so it's one that you can get a really nice smooth pan and tippy type thing. And of course it's got my, what do you call that thing that you read? Auto cue on it as well. So there's a bit of weight to it. So it's now really, really sturdy. So it's all ready for me to look up at the camera and go, hi there, my name's Bruce Rain from Brankus Creations. And in this video, we're going to be covering blah, 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 blah. And I've got a few of those that I need to do. So anyhow, I've got a review coming up of a bench power supply. And so that's something to look forward to. It's another Kai Wheats product, and at a glance it looks pretty awesome, but we'll see how we go. I'm very, very finicky about interfaces on these sorts of things. If they, if the knobs don't work the way I want the knobs to work, I can often end up getting pretty cruel. So we'll see whether it's going to get a good review or a bad review, but it already has a couple of things that I've seen that I think are really, really nifty. Believe it or not, I have absolutely no way of charging this thing, really. It's USB-C, but I haven't got a charger powerful enough for it. I've probably got enough power to charge it, but not necessarily to run it without the battery charge, would be my guess. And this isn't vintage Macintosh. It's not. No, this is very true. This is a departure for me. This isn't what I normally do, but I am doing this as a favour. And there is a vintage link to this. If I manage to get this working, in exchange for my services, I will be getting a Macintosh SE30 and an LC3. So there is a vintage association with this particular product, even if it is not a vintage product itself. And you can see, because this is in absolutely pristine condition, this computer. I've got it sitting on my little paper towel here so we don't get any scratchy scratches. And I need to find my goggles. Here we go. Let me just get my goggles, because I'm going to need glasses for this. So excuse me while I just step over here. Excuse me while I step over here. That's a heck of a deal. Well, I hope it's I hope it's a heck of a deal. I don't know what's going to be involved in this yet. This could be a freaking nightmare. Or it could just be a drop it in the ultrasonic cleaner and it works. Well, we will see. So if I just move this up, you just see here where my finger is. Can you see that glossiness? That is our liquid that has come through the board here. And we can actually see it here on the bottom case as well. So if I hold the bottom case here, you can see we've got some funky looking stuff going on here. So there's gunk. Here we go. So I have taken the case off. They're a bit of a bugger getting these cases off because a lot of them are held in with these little kind of brackety type things here. And I think that's them. And so they take a fair bit of prying to get off, whereas the older cases used to come off quite easily. No, this isn't retro, Tom. I was just finishing telling the chat this is a non-retro stream with a retro link association to it, and that is that if I manage to repair this computer, I am in exchange for my services, I am getting a Macintosh SE30 and an LC3. So that's the link. That's the link. That is the link. That's the link. Okay, the world is upside down. Is it? Yes, I realise that it's all a little bit crazy at the moment. Now, one really interesting thing about this is I have never pulled one of these apart before, so I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but we're going to figure out as we go. There is no iFixit guide for this, because I don't know why, but there isn't. I need to get a few screwdrivers. I'm going to need some Torxy-Walksies. What's that? That's a Torx. That's the printing has been rubbed off this one, so this is probably the most common used one. And I'm going to need a teensy-weensy little Phillips head, I think, too. What's this one? Phillips, there we go. Because I've got, or is that Torx? I'm going to have to, God, my eyes are bad. I'm just going to jump across to the microscope here for a bit. One of the first things you do whenever you're doing any of this sort of stuff is you remove the battery. You disconnect the battery first. And I'm pretty sure that's the battery connector there. And it is a Torxy-Walksy. Let's see which size Torxy-Walksy it is. It's smaller than that. So this one is a T5. So I need to find an even smaller than that. What's this one? I can't see. I just can't see anything. My eyes are so crap now. Is that a smaller one? That's a TR6. That's a smaller one. Is that the size? Now that's even bigger. So what does that mean? I mean, I need a TR4. I guess that means I need. What's this one? This is a freaking pentalobe. Good size, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. So I need smaller than that. So I need a 6. Be right back. Oh, Jesus, Jay, just when I need you the most. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's all good. Okay, what about this one? This one looks small. Is that small enough? I think that might be the right size. Crap, it's still too big. God, do I even have one small enough? Must have. I mean, I do. It's just a question of where it is. I've got lots of teensy winsies. What's that one? Is that a pentalobe? This one might be pentalobe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that seems very pentalobe-ish. Yep. Or is it? Yeah, that's pentalobe. How did you power to 10 watt? How did you power to 10 watt UV light? I got mine today, and it says it is 12 to 24 volt, but it has 3-wire pigtail with wires color coded like mains voltage. It's bizarre, isn't it? It is so weird, John. I got really caught out by this. I'll tell you. I'm just going to jump back to top view. There is a pigeon here. Hello. I'm just going to change here to this front view again. So as I talk about this, so this is my little 10 watt, and it. Come on. This is my 10 watt here, which you can't see because it's kind of out of camera. There we go. There it is. Now, this is the really, really bizarre thing about this, and it just totally caught me out when I got it. Caught me out to the point where I actually broke it and had to fix it. But I'm going to help you now so that you don't do the same. It is, believe it or not, an AC and a DC sort of convertery thingy inside it, and you can indeed run it from 12 to 24 volts. This one here, I'm currently running from 15 volts DC, and you simply put the positive of the DC to the active, which is brown. So you basically just put your positive to the brown, you put your negative to the blue, forget about the ground, because in this instance, I mean, I've actually got the ground connected to the chassis of this thing, so yeah, that's basically it. That's all there is to it. You can actually run it off AC or DC. I have actually run it from both, but yes, it will run happily off DC if you just put your positive to the brown and your negative to the blue, and away you go. And as I say, I'm running it off 15 volts. Here we go. Here's a switch. Switch him on, and that works better if it comes on when you press the button. I'm guessing I've knocked the power supply out over here. I'll be right back. I'm not going far. I'm just going here. But I'm thinking that I've bumped the power supply. Either that or I've broken it. I mean, either is possible. I do both. I break things and I move things. It did work. Maybe it doesn't work anymore. Maybe I left it on. Oh, hang on. Did it just come on? Yes, it did. It came on while I was fiddling. So there we go. That's my 10 watt. There it is there. And he gives me enough to do some pretty decent drying. I mean, he doesn't dry as fast as the laser beam does, but he does dry reasonably well in particular if I've got a board and I've covered it in mask all over. And I can just plonk it up there with the light on it, go away, leave it for an hour, come back and it's dry. So forget about the ground. Worked out real well for me last time I said that. You got to pick your battles, Jay. No one ever said forget about the ground when they were dealing with a CRT. Hello, Charlie. How's it going? Google clone. I don't think I said hello to you. Yes, this is a 16-inch. Looking at there is the trackpad. That's the trackpad connector, is it? Okay, so I need to find out where the battery gets connected. So, is that? No, that doesn't look like it. Is it underneath this? Some sort of fanciness going on over there. So, because the batteries are all lots of little ones, where is even the battery connector? Come on, meow. Don't mess with me here. I mean, I feel like it is something to do with this. I assume, oh, hang on. I'm not even on the right camera. Sorry, everyone's just been staring at my bald head. Okay, so I'm assuming that this is the power connector somewhere along here somewhere. Let me just zoom down a little bit here so we've got a better view. Because I am going to be looking for advice on this one, because I tell you, I've got no problems on the older ones. You give me stuff up to about sort of 2015, no problem, but I've never worked on a 2019 before. So, yeah, okay, so I'm assuming, when you assume, you make I'm assuming this is the power connector here. The battery connector under the thin snake-like ribbon cable. All right, okay. Snake-like ribbon cable. That's it there. Okay, so I've got to take that snake-like ribbon cable out, I guess. I should be taking photos of this, shouldn't I? I'll kick myself if I'm, going to do this and I haven't got photos of everything first. The way it looked. Bing, bing, bing. Snap. Snap, snap, snap. Oh, God, great. The neighbours decided to mow their lawns. What a stupid day to do it. It's wet. The grass has got to be soaked. Absolutely freaking soaked. Okay, yes. The 575 is home and working with some logic board issues, but nonetheless. So what happened with all the case damage? You got another case, I think. Is that what you were saying? Okay, so this is a snaky looking cable. We're gonna do this, pop him out, and does this cable seem like an afterthought to you? That it literally just travels from one place to the board over the top. God, I hate these. These tweezers are good for some things, but they're not for others. I've got a different set of tweezers for pulling things like this off, but I can't find them. They're under here. Let's see if this doesn't. Oh, crap. Anyone who watched my last stream, I was destroying an Apple IIc. Look at that. What is that? What is that? It goes from here to here. Oh, I see. No, it is traveling from the board to this little risery thing here. So that's a battery connector there by the looks of it. And we'll have to get that off with one of them talksy-walksy things. That, I feel like this is a substantial enough thing to be the power connector. Yeah, look at that. Nice big fat plus and minus, so that's got to be the power connector. Did you try whacking with a hammer? I always try whacking things with a hammer. It works very well. Violet S, hello. It's all right, the mower came on and then it went off again. It just started up, then stopped. So I don't know, he must have just changed his mind. Can't say I blame him. All right, so going to have to disconnect all these things so I can get the board out. I'm going to work my way around the board, just disconnecting everything. I've, as I say, never done one of these before, so I'm just going to figure it out as I go. This one here definitely looks like a fan connector. It may not be. I've got another little connector here. Hello, little guy. So the battery is always the most important thing to disconnect, because when you start playing around with these, if you accidentally short something, you don't want there to actually be, live power on the board. So, so that's what we need to do. Get that undone. Maybe that's the fan. I don't know. Maybe this is the fan. One of these three connectors that I have just undone will be the fan. And indeed, probably would not actually need to be undone, because I suspect you can probably remove these with the fan still on. I suspect. Oh, anyone who's playing along at home, this is an 8, crap, I can't see that. 820-01700-A. So for those who are familiar with these sorts of, the Mac stuff, they all start with an 820 dash. So that's the particular board it is. I do have schematic diagrams for this board. The person who gave them to me is in the chat. I won't mention their name in case there's some sort of legal ramifications, but if they do want to own up to it, they're welcome to. So I have board view and schematics for this. I'm hoping I won't need them. With this sort of problem, I'm hoping that the liquid damage itself will draw me straight to what the issue is. Geez, I'm slack with the chat today. Hey, Joe. Do you repair? Yes, he does. Board lifts out and fans stay behind. Okay, that's good to know. Keep close track of what screws come out of where. Apple designed this thing like they do the phones, and slightly too long screw in the wrong place can, oh great, long screw damage, love that. Thank you for the warning, Google clone, I do appreciate it. Okay, so right, so continue working my way around all these little connectors, or large connectors I should say. Some of these are gigantic. I have a pair of tweezers for removing this crap. Where is them? Where is them? Also rather good for plucking eyebrows, but that's another story. I tend not to do that on my live streams. Save that for after. They're normally there. That's the spot I put them there. But they're not there, which means I took them down and didn't put them back. The state of my workshop at the moment is just disgraceful, and I apologise to everyone who's watching. In particular, I apologise to people who keep very, very tidy workshops, because this must just be insulting to the senses. But as Popeye once said, I am what I am. And of course, who cares if I fix it anyway, eh? Hey? I'm not finding these tweezers. They'd be really handy around about now. I won't need them again, just for what I'm doing right this very minute. But I can't find them, so be it. Right, so there's a little container there of screws. So this is some news I really did not want to hear, and that is that the oh god, my bald head's getting in this a lot, isn't it? The news I did not want to hear is that the screws are all different sizes, which means I'm going to have to kind of store them in a fashion whereby I've got the sort of position noted as well. and that's a real pain. If I had a, what do you call those things? A guide. What do you call them? Like an iFixit guide. I'd be fine because I would just be able to follow the guide and putting it together. But there isn't one. So iFixit, I blame you guys. Look at that microscope looking at a capacitor there. I might have to go up to the house and get my other toolkit because this is the small one. Because I do need a smaller, what do you call those things? Oh, hang on, what about this? I know these are going to be bloody pentalobes, aren't they? Stupid pentalobes. That's tiny. That's too tiny. That's for pulling apart a phone. Oops, crap, just dropped it. What do we got there? No, no. Come on. Well, that looks like it might be a winner. Let's just check. God, that's too small. I've got too small and I've got too big. I don't seem to have the right size. So I've got to go up and get my other kit. Oh, Apple's Anonymous, hello. Do we all agree that the plural of box is boxen? Oh, that's a good one, I like it. All right, so I'm going to go press the button, the back soon button. I apologise to everyone for that because I took my other toolkit up to do something else in the house, and I think it's the one that has the size of the little screwy thing on that I need. So I'm about to press the back soon button. Just be aware it sometimes comes on a little louder than my normal volume, so you may want to stand by the volume controls. So, I'm back. Hello. Okay. We're looking good here. I think it's maybe a T5. Nope. T4. Yay, we got a winner. Pooh. So, right. I'm taking this cover off so that I can disconnect this ribbon cable, and I'm going to just pop this there and pop this there, and then I imagine that comes off, and then I imagine that comes off. Come on, tell me that just lifts off. Yeah, cool, just lifts off. All right, now, oh, got another little guy here. There. I'm feeling like we're getting close to the ribbon cables all being done. So we're about to move on from that phase in our lives. We're nearly past the ribbon phase. Right, there's that. Now, what's going on up here? Are they more little freaking covers? I'll take photos of that too. I should add the House of Moss to this stream. Are you good enough to help me, Jay? Yeah. Click. May I suggest taping the ribbon cable you took out under the left fan over the battery. Many times I put boards back in that completely, and you find the cable is stuck under. So you talking about which cable? This one? No, this one? Which one? Hang on, let me check. So just taping the ribbon cable you took out under the left fan. Under the left fan over the battery. This one here. We're talking about this one? Or is it this one here, the keyboard one? Big wide one. Just come out for a boardroom. Okay, yep, no worries. I'm quite happy for anyone to do any research that might need to be done for this. I am not the sort of person that sort of does not accept people's help. I am very humble in that regard. The keyboard one, the big wide one. Okay, cool. No worries. So taping. I did a really lousy job of taping. I'm going to grab another piece of tape and I'm going to try again. This time I'm going to give it my all. Taping. There we go. Cool. The Wi-Fi antenna bar doesn't need to be removed. I'm so bloody glad to hear that. So I feel like the next step I need to do is to start undoing some of these things here. And what I figure I might do is sort of go around in a clockwise direction and then put them in a container with each screw in each one so that I can go back in the order that they were removed. Do I have an empty one? Here, this one's reasonably empty. Look at that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I've got 12 gaps in this one, so I feel like I should be fine with 12, don't you? Yeah. God, they're all that small one. Stupid. Okay, so I am starting in the bottom right-hand corner. I better zoom out a little bit now because this is getting silly. Whoopsie, that's the wrong way. There we go. All right. I do apologise. You're going to be seeing lots of my bald head in this one. It's not the best bald head out there. But anyhow. Watching Lewis Rossman working on a Mac. Hello, Trina. So, quick question, Trina. Did you have a chance to go back and have a listen to your live stream the other day? Because I am not entirely sure you were using the microphone source you thought you were. So just something maybe to be aware of next time with your next stream. You know, one of us Maciaccas would always be happy to help to, you know, maybe do some testing to see whether you've got your microphone happy. So, PP, was it PP3v3 or something? PP bus. Yeah, I used to watch Rossman streams back in the day. Okay, so this is all one board by the looks of it. And that heatsink goes over top of it, so I'm guessing... Oh, the heatsink's attached to the board, so it's going to come up as well, so that's fine. What about over on the left here? I've got all of these... there's something else connected there, so I think that's going to have to come off. So let's do that. Oh crap, is that even smaller? No. Don't vex me, man. I'm going to take this one out because there's a little cover here that looks like it's covering some more little connectors, and I just need to, obviously this whole board has to come out, and so yep, another connector there. Ping pong. Off she comes. And I think that's a connector there, so this probably has to come out as well. And here too. Oh crap, there's over this side too. My goodness, how many connectors do we have? And why do they all need covers? Answer me that. Riddle me that. Why so many connectors for the covers? Oh crap, and there's another one. I'm going to run out of gaps here. Little holes in there. There's another one. Wee. And then one here. Consarnate, I say. Dagnabbit, even. This sucks. I feel like I'm going to have to take more off. I mean, this thing here, I can see a little ribbon cable from it, so that one's got to go. Where am I going to put that? Well, get that, put that there, and that, put that there. I don't even know where some of these screws came from. Some of these look like they've come from ancient, like old white MacBooks, and possibly the aluminum ones as well. Okay, so this little guy looks like he needs to come out.
Oh, two connectors there. Uno, dos. And I dare say we're going to have something along the same lines over here. I apologise, I'm not looking at the chat at the moment, and I'm sure there's someone probably going, hey, you don't need to undo that, what are you doing, stop it. And I apologise in advance that if I'm doing something and missing important and crucial conversations in the chat, it is just, oh crap, I just dropped that screw. Here we go. All right. I sort of feel like, oh God, this thing is like undoing a phone. There's a bloody cover under, what do you call it, a connector underneath the connector. Anyone who's ever done any work on a newer iPhone, what a nightmare. Michael's Workshop, hello. Oh, Patrick is here. Hello, Patrick, how's it going? Yeah, because it's Apple. That's a very good answer. Okay, so might want to remove the plastic covers over the hinges. These things, you reckon? Okay, I'll do it. I will do that if they are going to hinder my workflow. Boom, boom, boom. Anyone here watch the Mac Yak show yesterday? I thought it was kind of fun. I thought it was a fun show. Great shoe, great shoe. Lots of silliness. We had Ron from Ron's computer videos on, and we talked about all sorts of junk and things. Okay, here's me following instructions. I don't have time for that Mac nonsense. Yeah, I quite understand. I'm looking at my white MacBook 1.1 and nodding my head. I have so many parts for those. And I have lots of working ones and I have lots of non-working ones. I have masses of them, as well as the MacBook Pros from the time as well, which were the early, I think, the ones I've got, I think, are all the early Intel. I've got a couple of G4s, but most of them are the early Intel ones. In that, you know, MacBook Pro aluminium case there. But I've just got stacks of them. Stacks and stacks of them. Do I need them? No. No, I don't. Right, so I feel I've got airport stuff going on here. Wi-Fi. So I'm going to have to disconnect those. I'm going to take a little photo of that for my collection. I can have you on the stream as a guest, Jay, if you would like to jump on. I know that it may not necessarily be what you had in mind. You might be having other things to do. But if you would like to come on and offer me guidance and criticism, I do have the means for that in this streaming software to add you as a guest on the show. Oh, the display cable's got to be considered. That's the fun part of these machines. Well, crap, I've disconnected so much already. You sure I haven't already done that? You sure? I've done heaps. I've done heaps. Where do they get disconnected from? Are they on the other side of the board or some crap? What about this thing here? There's something going on there. I'm bored with this. I want to start something else. I want to work on a vintage Mac. All right, okay. Ooh, that's shiny. All right, so I won't criticise. I'll give you a ping once the kit has been stuffed in bed. Okay, no worries. What I will do in the meantime is ponder my existence. No, top corner, top center, there's two plates stacked on top of each other. Top center. There's a black plate here, and then there's a metal plate here. And there's a big metal plate here, but that's on the edge. So I'm assuming you're talking about these two here. Would I be correct with that, Google clone? Slide it off. It's bad phrasing. But I think we're talking about these two here. They sort of kind of fit your description. So I'm just waiting because there is some latency going on between what I say and when someone can actually type something back. So this is why I have invited Jay as a guest.
I'm not sure I understand.
Yes, those two. I wasn't talking to you, Siri, so shush. God, you recorded a lot of my conversation, didn't you? Look at you. They sort of kind of fit your description, so I'm just waiting because there is latency going on between what I say. Yeah, wow, it did it rather well. Okay, so gonna undo those. Oh, I should take a photo, shouldn't I? Take another photo. Click. Okay. Oh, he sent me a photo. Jay even sent me a photo and I didn't even look at it. What a fool. What a fool. Let's get some more light over here. Oh, that doesn't help you with your camera, does it? Okay. Ping. Working on this really does make me feel like the design of the MacBook Pros, let's say, 20, well, we're probably talking from 2008, which was the one that had the removable battery, 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12, probably all pre-Retina type stuff. They really were a great design for disassembly and whatnot. This one here, it feels a lot kind of clunkier. I worked on what was it? It was a Lenovo recently, and I found working on that felt like working on a really old Mac in the way it was set up. It sort of felt really, really clunky in the design, and that working on like a MacBook Pro of sort of let's just pull a number out of the air and say like a 2012 or something like that. They're just so easy for me to work on, to access, to to do whatever you need to do to them. Replace the batteries. Yeah, iBooks they suck. Siri doesn't want to feel involved. Over the board, installed into the machine. Oh, okay. Well, that's good that iFixit have got that. I will have that to refer to if I need. So this looks like a display connector, and it looks like it's oh, shivers. Oh boy, let's get some microscope action happening here. This ain't good. I'm just saying, this ain't good. Yeah, look at that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm going to have a look at this in the microscope. Oh, shivers, it's even burned. Little bit of melty metal. Little bit more. Melty. Right. So, we have actually had this is fried. So there are a couple of things we need to consider here. So this is definitely going to need, this is the display connector, and for
people here that may not necessarily know, one of the things that happens with the display connector is it has one of the more high voltage connections in it for the backlight. I think it's 20 something volts, something like that. And so we're not just talking about, 5 volts or 12 volts or, whatever. There's actually a fairly significant amount of power that goes in for the backlight. And this really looks like we've had some sort of short go on with the backlight. So I would guess that would probably mean the backlight fuse is probably also gone. And I would... I've got no issue with replacing this connector. I don't have a replacement, which means we're not talking about something that I'm going to be able to repair today. This will have to be done. I'll have to order that part in. I'm sure someone like Rossmann might have it, or it might just be a standard connector I can get from somewhere. We've got rust, a bit of rust going on here. You can see, but it's scraping off all right. It's this kind of burning that's going on here I don't like. Let me just grab something a little bit sharper. I need something a little bit smaller than the needle nose tweezers I have, and that just gives you an indication of how bloody small this is, because those tweezers are very, very, very pointy. Oopsie. But I'm going to grab a scalpel blade, if I can find one. Yes, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll show you. I'll actually show you the logic board in a minute, because here's one really important thing. One of the first things I noticed when I took this out was a little glob of metal, and that didn't come from this side by the looks of it. That's melted on, I'd say, from the other side. Now, just want to get right down here. Yeah. How are we off for focus there? Okay, yeah, it's reasonable. So here's the thing. I mean, you've got, when we look at all these pins, these are all nice and shiny and coppery and all that sort of stuff. And then when we get to the burnt side here, it's just crud under there. Look at that burn. We've done a little bit of welding here. I might just get in here with some with a toothbrush and some alcohol, and see if we can just clean it up a little bit. The connector is unrecoverable. You believe that? Yes, I think I believe that as well. So, a quick question for you, Joe. These connectors replaceable, or do I only get them from donor boards? Yeah, look at that. I don't know if you can actually see it. Let me just see if I can focus. But the second one along, so you've got the big wide one. On the very first one is a big wide pin, and then the next one along, which is this guy here, you can see he's not even pointing in the right direction. So that's snapped. It's actually snapped in off. So yeah. Good question. Let me check. Thank you, Jay. Jay is doing the research for me today, though I appreciate that. He's a good researcher, Jay, I should say. So, yeah. This is not what we want. So, yeah, we'll just do a little bit of a summary here. So I have no donor board for this. I don't actually have one. Donor boards may or may not be available for one of this vintage. Donor boards are the sorts of things that come out once boards start getting a little bit older. You generally can go into places like AliExpress and that. You go in and you order, just sort of dead boards like this. They've got holes drilled in them so that they are unrecoverable. And they usually whip off the CPU and they usually whip off the RAM, because they're all usable, but they generally keep everything else on there. So all your capacitors, all your connectors, all your resistors, all your voltage regulators, all that sort of shit. A lot of them even have the little firmware chips on them and stuff like that. So, yeah, so at the moment what we're looking at is the display connector, and it's not how it's meant to look.
It's clearly had some liquid going in there. It's created a short, and it's done a little bit of electronic welding because it's actually welded some, melted some metal. So let's have a look at the connector. This is the connector that attaches to the logic board, and we can see we've got a similar problem going on here. Lots of burns. We've got stuff we're not meant to have here. Again, if I can get replacements of these connectors, they can be replaced. It's a bit of a cow replacing connectors on a flex thing like this, but I might even need a new cable, we'll see. Hey, caramba. See, this is the melting I was telling you about. There's actually melted solder, or solder, depending on where you're from. Oh God, this hurting me nose. What's going on here? Here we go. I move the microscope with my nose, and sometimes it moves. It's very hard to move, and I hurt my nose. So yeah, there's actually the short here. It's shorted between, I guess, these two pins here, the two leftmost ones, and that's just created meltage. Look at that. That pin's just come off. Yep. It's terrible. That's just terrible. So we need a new connector. We need a new little cable here. I assume that cable connects onto this board in 2 halves. I don't know if these are replaceable. I've got codes on there. We've got 821-02698-A. Let's have that again. 821. So if anyone there has the ability to grab a browser and just do 821-02698-A and see whether you get any sort of shopping references coming up for a replacement connector, because that is what we need. We need a replacement connector for that. We need this whole thing. Yes, as I say, if I get the other side of the connector, I can potentially solder it on to this flex cable. I think that is doable. It's not totally out of the question. But having trouble mapping what I see on your camera to the board view. Board view for this model is crude. Mind zooming out at all? No, I do not mind at all. So here's a really important thing. I'm not looking at anything on the actual logic board at this stage. I am looking at this connector part here, right there. That is on the little, that's on the board on the chassis. So I'll zoom out, we'll zoom out and we can have a look at this from the top view for a sec. And so then you get a much better idea of everything with things. So here is the board. Here is the damage to the connector. It's right there. So the logic board finishes here and it's actually up there. So that's where all that horrendous damage is. It's actually on this little strip of thing here, which I assume is part of the display assembly or something like that. So that's there. And then of course you've got this little ribbon cable, and that ribbon cable scoops around underneath the board. So we're going from underneath that board across onto there, and that is totally cactus. So yes, repairable. Yes, need parts. Yeah, the board view almost definitely will not include the display assembly board. I looked up how to pull the back off one of these before trying to pull it off. Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit of coaxing, I'll tell you that. I ended up using these little guys snuck in the side and going bleep, 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 get it off. So, all right, so that's some very significant damage. It's not necessarily the worst of the damage by any means, but that is something that is going to have to be fixed. And of course, there's connectors here as well that look like they've probably been exposed to the same liquid damage. So I might just have a look at these and see what they look like underneath. Assuming there are connectors there may not be connectors. If there are no connectors, everything that I just said is moot. They don't look like connectors. Or do they? Is that a connector on there? Does that lift off? Don't know. That one sort of looks like a connector, but it's attached to here. There's a little screw down here going along there. And then I don't know. Just want to have a look and see if it looks like there's any evidence of burning or anything around it. Oh, this is so much easier when you can actually see. All right. Part number from a schematic. Yeah, this is a bugger, isn't it? Let's change across the microscope view for a sec. I'm just having a look at a connector here, which is in close proximity to that other one. And I'm just checking to see whether we might be looking at some damage on this. So this does look like it's a connector. Though, yep, it is. Oh, yeah. We've got shit going on here as well. Oops, I just swore. Did anyone hear that? Don't tell anyone I just swore. But yes, we've got the same stuff going on here. In actual fact, there was the evidence right there. See this browning on the cable there. So this one is poops as well. And what's going on here? Is that a connector? I don't know. I can't tell if that's a connector or just something resting on it. It's hard to tell. Worst place to cop it, I'll tell you what. I think that's just resting. That doesn't feel like a connector. So that's poops. If backlight voltage went to the wrong pin, you're pretty stuffed. Yeah, I have absolutely every... What's the voltage of the backlight? Just remind me, please, Jay. I said it was 20-something volts, but it could be... I could have that wrong. But yeah, I have every frickin' belief that the backlight voltage has gone somewhere it shouldn't, but I have some faith that it may have blown the backlight fuse. Stranger things have happened. I did have a computer that came in for repair a while ago, and I found a dead backlight fuse and got the thing working, so that was nice. So I want to try and believe in some good stuff happening. I mean, think about it. Seal hooked up with Heidi Klum. Good things can happen. All right. This one doesn't look as bad just straight off the bat. I don't see any of that blackening along here. Russell video. The adjacent pin is some one CPU communication. Oh dear. No, yeah, well, let's hope that's not the case. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So this one looks really good. I've got no issue with that one at all. That one is as clean as a whistle. You can see where the liquid has come through here. I mean, this is the goop. This is whatever it was. This is the Coca-Cola or something that's in there. Shall we try it? Shall we taste it? See what it is? Oh, dropped it. I dropped my sample. I can't drop my sample. Oh man. Oh boy, that hurt. Okay. No, I didn't get much there. What about this? I'm going to sample from that. It's very sticky, isn't it? Yeah, it's got to be coffee or Coke. One of the two, I reckon. Okay. Yeah, so I remember seeing a Rossman video once where he was just having a all-out rant, which he does, as we know. Having a bit of an all-out rant about Apple's design, talking about how they had put something right next to each other that was like really bad. 59 volts. So I was a little bit off on my assumption of the backlight. I was out by about sort of 40 volts. But yeah, so we're talking about 59 volts for powering that backlight.
And that's, of course, why the failure is so catastrophic. That's why it's such nasty burning, because we're talking about a lot of volts there doing some damage. Right, now let's think about the preferred course of action here. The board's got to come out no matter what we do because it's had liquid damage that needs to be cleaned. We still don't know whether I'm going to be able to get the replacement parts for this, but the board still has to come out. Taste test, yes. Num, 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 num. Hello, LMNO. Welcome to the live stream here. It's funny, isn't it? Because I didn't even really think about the connectors when I was working on this. I was thinking to myself, even if I don't have the parts, I've got a board view, I've got a schematic for this. I can look up what the components are and potentially take them from another board, completely different model. If I say, oh, I know that's a 0.1 microfarad capacitor or something like that, I'll just find the same size capacitor from another board and plonk it on there. But connectors are a different story because with something like this, they're fairly, I'm not going to be able to take a connector off like a 2012 board and use it on this one. There's just no way. It's just not going to happen. These are a very, very different type of connector, much smaller. But so for anyone who has just joined the stream, this is a 2019, this is the touch bar version. And so this is a 2019 MacBook Pro sent to me by a friend who asked if I could sort out some liquid damage. I think he got it for very cheap or free. And we were dismantling it and then just disconnected the video display connector here and discovered this has already been fairly significantly cleaned by me, but we just discovered that we've got some very, very unwelcome burning going on here. And then we've got the same reflected on the other side of the connector here. Lots of nasty burning and ugliness, and we don't like any of that. So if we were to think about repairing this, we would need to replace these connectors. The board is still going to have to come out because we're going to have to look and see if that goop has gone anywhere else. I'm for the moment going to say it's coffee because it doesn't have that sort of sweetness that you would get from a Coke or something like that. Good luck with this repair. Kyle GP. Yes, I do like playing with fire. 60 volt minus 59 volt just wants to be difficult and unique. It's that extra 1 volt just pushed them over the edge, Right, so let's go and take the board out because it needs to be done. I have received warning from Google Clone that they have different size screws for different parts of the board. So as I disassemble this, I am going to put those screws in order of removal so that I can put them back in the right order. I won't make that mistake again. Not that I've ever made that mistake. I just thought it sounded good to say that. I'm grabbing another container because I'm running out of space. That looks like it's from a MacBook Air. Why would I keep capacitors? Why would I keep old? Oh no, that looks new. That's why I'd keep it, because it's new. Why is it here though? 47 microfarad, 25 volt. It's just an electrolytic. This one is a 1 microfarad, 50 volt. Strange place to put them. What were you thinking, Rain? This will be easier if I get a magnet. Yep. Just making a little bit of space. Right, okay, so there we go. There's our third container. Got 12 empty spots in here that I can put the screws in. I'll just check the chat. Googie Clone, like... Sorry. Googie Clone, you're right. I've been calling you Google the whole time. It is the problem I have here, and I've mentioned this many times before, this software that I use to live stream with, I find the interface for the chat extremely difficult to read. So, yeah. Right. So just in case anyone is wanting to have any arguments about this, it is pronounced Bondi. It's named after a beach in this country, and that beach is called Bondi Beach. So there you go. I know it seems weird that the way it's spelt, but come on, we're talking about, I mean, have you seen the spelling of words like Woolloomooloo and, I don't know, Gunnedah and Goondiwindi and places like that? I mean, we've got some pretty wacky name, sort of places from the indigenous peoples of this land.
And yeah, we would just have to take their word for it, even though I know that they don't pronounce it Bondi. Okay, so but don't tell anyone. Right, so I'm going to start pulling this apart. Now, there's a big screw up here. It's way bigger than all the others, but it does look like it's going to need to come out because I do think it is connected to the chassis. I'm going to start from here, right there. That's going to be the first screw I undoes. It's sort of Jay's very persistent with the idea that it's Bondi. Very, very persistent. Just undoing some screws here, folks. There's a lot of them. Anyone who might be watching this might have joined relatively recently. My favourite suburb, just on the outskirts of Sydney, that is correct. I'll go along that way, eh? And then I'll come back around that like that. I'll do it that way. I can always watch this stream later on, because I'm certainly not going to be putting it back together today, that's for sure. No way. No, sir. So as long as I have recorded the order in which I pull them apart, I can then watch the video with your order in which to put them back together again. So far, these all look about the same size. But I will not be fooled. They may not be. I've been watching this show on Netflix at the moment called Archive 81. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it is frickin' spooky. No spoilers for it, please, because I still haven't finished it, but it is one spooky show. Enjoying it very, very much. I mean, I would like to actually just be watching it. Okay, so then I just need to, I think, undo that one, and it feels like it'll probably come. Yeah, it does. But I will check. Clips video, Bruce saying it's Bondi. Right, so I'm going to, I think this might be the right size for that one. Nope, that's too small. I need bigger. There's all the torques here. I can't read the things that's written on them. That's TR8, that's way too big. Oh, or it's the exact right size. Ponk. Whoopsie. Ponk. Right, what happens now? It's got some good solid wiggle. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I feel that. I can feel it coming. Need to be very cautious. Oh, look at that. Have a go at it. One magical board. Ta-da! Okay, so, oh wow. What is that? Oh wow, that's a burn. So that is, let's just mirror that location. It's there. Yeah. Oh, shivers regal. Okay. Right. Well, I know I've said okay right a few times. That's because I keep just referring back to the whole situation. I'll just get this under the microscope so you can see what I'm looking at here a little bit better. Going to microscopy. And we'll just have a look here. And what you see there, that is a little burn mark of something that has got to an extremely high temperature on the board. So that's a kaboom, as Jay just said. It is a kaboom moment. Charlie Hartwell, have I said hello to you? Hello. And Enzo. I haven't said hello to Enzo either. Bondi just to annoy Sydney people. Yeah. It's funny, I didn't even realise it was a thing until I actually met up with the Mac Yak guys. you know, wherever it was 2 years ago. And just suddenly, like, people saying, I'm hearing the word Bondi. And I'm like, what? 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 It's like, we didn't name it. Like, Apple named it. Were Apple going around saying Bondi? I don't know. Right, okay, so this is a little connector here that we were looking at before, as we can see is burned to the bejoizers. And now we're going to look at where that connects on the other side, which is right here. And there we have something which looks a little bit on the melted side. What do you reckon? Does it look melted to you? It's definitely generated some heat, that's for sure. Oh, look at this. Squeeze. Yummy. Let's get this connector off. Get it off. I have to label all of these because I've got these. I literally have this taking up so many cases here. What's that screw? That doesn't look like it's from this computer. It looks way too big. Yeah, it's a Phillips head. There are no Phillips heads on this. So, now this is going to have to go into the ultrasonic cleaner as well, of course. And it's got all these little papery things stuck to it. Do I have to take these off? Or can I chuck them in the ultrasonic with them on? Oh, it's under this. What is under this? Okay. This. Oopsie. Plonk. Oh, something just fell apart. What is that? Is that from this? I mean, if we want to look at this from an optimistic perspective, if we want to actually start being happy and smiley and talk about fun things, here's one good thing. There's no burning on this side of the connector and the other side. So it's not brilliant, but it's not burned to a crisp like the other one. So let's just plonk that there and there. This is all going to have to sit and wait for a bit. Here we go. So, if we want to look at this fairly optimistically, the damage is isolated to a relatively small area, which I can look at now. We're going to walk through that area at the moment. So, we've got, starting up in the corner here, we have some nastiness going on here. So, we've got all of this green corrosion-y stuff which has happened. So what I can tell you about this is one of the biggest problems that occurred with this computer is either that it was on when the liquid got poured on it, or that it got switched on after the liquid was poured on it. There is absolutely no doubt about the fact that the main issue with sort of liquid damage is what it does when there is electricity running through it. So let's think about what needs to be done here. Probably fine with these, not going to worry about replacing these capacitors here. But that would have to be replaced. That will 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 have to be replaced. Probably not these ones. These are big enough that I think they would survive. That will need to be replaced. We've got some nasty damage on a probe point here. And some of these probe points actually work as vias between layers as well. So I have to check that out. Oh God, look at the gunk. Look at the black gunk on this. It's just extraordinary. It's really laid on thick. That has to be replaced. I would ideally replace these ones here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't see anything here that looks like a fuse. You know, the hope with this is that, you know, you'll just see a fuse nearby and you think, oh, cool, that'll probably have blown after this and I'll just replace it. But I don't see anything that looks like a fuse. Generally, the fuses are a different colour. They're sometimes white, they're sometimes green, sometimes brown. But they're usually reasonably easy to identify on a board, but I don't see a fuse in this vicinity. That's cooked as well. So that one needs to be replaced. This one here has actually got some melting going on, so I'd probably ideally replace that one too. So here's where we sit with this at the moment. I need a donor board for this in order to repair it. I don't really see it as a practical option to go around just lifting this, because I just need to see under this because we've got liquid damage in that area. So we just want to see if it's got anywhere else in here. So I definitely need a donor board for this. There's no two ways about it. There are too many components that need to be replaced. It is not a practical thing for me to go in and get all the sizes of these and then look at getting, you know, individual replacements for them. The best thing to do is to get a donor board or a couple of donor boards if they're around, if they exist. Get hold of them with all the components on them and then just do swapping them over. Doesn't the backlight fuse have a P on it? Well, it certainly does on the boards that I've worked on, but I have never worked on this one before. So I didn't want to go as far as to actually say that. And to be honest, I don't even know where the backlight circuit is. Jay is sort of saying that we're talking about a 5-volt situation here. How the hell are these stuck on? Can someone please tell me how these heat sinks are stuck on? I don't see any screws anywhere. Am I missing something? How are you doing that? How you doing that? There's fuse on the other side of the board, nowhere near that area because Apple. Just on my way to work, we'll watch soon. Thank you, Thomas. I can't guarantee we'll still be going for too much longer because I really have reached the about as far as I can go with. So I can obviously chuck it in the ultrasonic cleaner and clean it up, but I don't actually want to do that yet. If there is any hope of repairing this, I want to preserve all of that blackness because that's actually going to show me when I go to replace things, which things I absolutely need to replace. There may be more things that I need to replace, but yeah, other sort of the side of the board black stickers, as in this side of the board, as in the one with all the bits on it, all the little bits, all the bird seed. Well, you're not looking. We're not looking at that view. So this side of the board, you fuse. Looking for something that might look like a fuse. I'm hoping that it'll stick out to me. But when you said others, crap, what was that? When you said other side, you might have been saying other side based on me being on this side before and not on the other side. So I'm just going to do a quick count here. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'd say probably somewhere between a dozen to 20 components will need to be replaced. We've got a connector and a cable that need to be replaced. So just looking at the... Sorry, opened the wrong container. So this is the heatsink and how it's held on. Oh, okay, you won't find the fuse without the board. Okay, cool. They're that hard to find. Oh, bugger. What's this? That looks like... Oh, that's just an old resistor. That's not from this. Okay, so all right. So under the black, how? There's no screws. How is it held on? How is that heatsink held on? There's no screws. I demand to know. Why? How? What? There are no screws. I'm being trolled. Soldered onto the board. Don't tell me that. I'm so confused. I mean, look, if it's soldered on, then it's kind of, it's fine, because then I can't access it. I mean, if I can't actually take the heatsink off, so be it. Hang on, are they screwed in from the other side? Yeah, oh God, shiny brackets, yes, thank you, Jay. Yeah. The answer was really obvious, I just didn't pay attention to it, so just, sorry. Just don't mind me. Hi there, my name's Bruce. Let's take these off, because they have to come off. I'm doing Joe's thing now. I'm doing my doobie doos while I'm working. My doobie doos. Joe's a big doobie doer when he's working. Quick little shout out. I forgot to do it on the Mac Yak show yesterday, and I feel quite a wally for it. I will be appearing. I felt so stupid. We finished the show and I had said nothing about it. On Sunday US time, it's Monday my time, I think it's 8 p.m. Eastern, if I remember rightly, I am going to be having a little guest appearance on a rather cool little talk show called, what's it called? Retro Roundtable or something like that? What's it called, Joe? Please remind me. Don't be offended by me forgetting. That's just because that's just how my brain works. And please feel free to put a link to it in there, because there is a link already to the show in there. And basically, we're talking about a bunch of super cool people that are going to get together and chitty chat about vintage repair. Really, I think it's Retro Repair Roundtable. That's what I want to say. Yeah. Retro Repair Roundup. There we go. I was close. Nice bit of copper going on here. Can I remove this without the copper? Yes, I can. I just have to be strategic. Can we love that word, strategic? I love it when people say strategic. I need to be strategic about this. There we go. Lovely and strategic. Stop it. This is never going back on the same. No, never. Never. Okay, so what have we got here? One of these is going to be a CPU, one of them is going to be a GPU. That looks very suspiciously GPU-ish, and that looks suspiciously CPU-ish. So, let's see if I got that right. I don't know what these new fancy fangled CPUs look like, because I don't own anything this new. I don't have enough money. I've always got old stuff. It's not to say I don't want new stuff, but I have to get by with old stuff. So, oh geez, I missed the bin. I mean, the mouth of the bin is like that size, and I just completely missed it. Let's have a look at the words on this and see what it tells us. I'm all about helping out, so just box this Mac Pro up and donate it to me. Of your hair, you go grab an SE30. It's a bit like that, you know. I mean, look, it's repairable. It is definitely repairable. It's just all going to revolve around whether I can get my hands on some donors to pinch some stuff. Yep, there we go, AMD, so that's definitely the GPU. 2006, it's a long time ago. Yummy. How long have I been streaming for, just out of curiosity? Only an hour and a half, yeah. I mean, I'm generally trying to keep my streams down to 2 hours these days. Just because I have so many things to do, I don't really have the opportunity to dedicate the same amount of time that I would necessarily like. I have to go and do things. I'm actually working on some pre-recorded videos at the moment, which I know people are waiting for. I keep getting people sort of politely tapping me on the shoulder about my ultrasonic cleaner video. So that's got to come. I set a reminder, one waiting. 2 hours, yes, I know. That's a very foreign concept for someone like Steve, the idea of doing a live stream in 2 hours. It's like, what? What? Okay, I need to get around to replacing the caps on my Classic 2 and 2CI. Yeah, well, what I would say is Googie Clone. A couple of things about that. I mean, you probably don't need, I don't know what your background is, you probably don't need me to tell you this, but for the Classic 2, one of the most important things is the fact that they also need the analog board recapped, not just the logic board. They've got terrible leakage, particularly with one little cluster of capacitors right near the speaker. So you'll need to obviously do that. And with the 2CI, what I would say about that is don't delay. The 2CI is now, it's of that vintage that they pretty much all of them now have a bit of trace damage from the corrosion, from the leakage of the capacitors. You know, they basically go that your capacitors start leaking, and then as that leakage sort of starts to cause corrosion, that corrosion then gets worse and it just sort of spirals out of control. And the 2CI it's an old computer. It's been around for a long time. And it's the same with the SE30. I mean, pretty much every SE30, 2CI, 2CX, 2X, anything of that vintage that comes to me for recapping has trace damage. It's pretty much a done deal. Even if the computer is working, there is still a lot of work to be done to get them into a state where they're going to keep working and not just suddenly start, you know, failing in the future because of corrosion. So don't delay, really don't delay on the 2CI. I would say that would be my recommendation. Startup circuit is always fun. On the CI, there's actually any of the ones with a soft start. So that's your 2, your 2X, your 2FX, your CI, CX, all of those ones with that sort of soft startup circuit, they're a nightmare. I mean, the one good thing about them is they're all very similar, so they all tend to have the same traits. Don't delay, recap today. Yes, I'll do that again in my radio voice. Don't delay, recap today. All right, so where are we? CI has 4 caps next to the 3 startup chips. 90% of the time you need to remove the chips. Yeah, give them a good clean around there. I would agree with that. I've probably got a CI around here I can pull out and we can have a look at. Anyhow. All right, so I think I've gone about as far as I can go with this. Yes, it will need to be ultrasonically cleaned. Do I have to take all these little papery things off, Jay, or can I put it in the ultrasonic with them still on? These little black papery things that are stuck on everything. I don't even know why they're stuck on. Won't be ultrasonic it today. So, going to see if I can get a donor board for this. Going to see if I can get a replacement connector for that, or replacement little cable. It's a tiny weeny little cable. It's not a big cable. This is the cable here. But if I can get a replacement one of these, that would be awesome. But I need to speak to the owner about this and just see how far down the rabbit hole they want to go. I mean, I think they just ultimately want it fixed, but you know. It could end up being a fairly significant process. And if he has already paid a bit of money for this, we'll see. All right, well, I'm going to pack all these up now. These are all the bits. Pack, bits, pack. There we go. And get them all tucked away for another day when I might actually have the means to repair it. The necessary bits and pieces. All the bits are spread over into 3 containers here at the moment. And where am I going to put this? Where am I going to put this? Can someone tell me where I'm going to put this? There. Alrighty, now what are we going to do next? I don't know. I've got no idea. That was about all I'd planned to do. I thought I might actually end up doing a little bit of component removal, you know, get take some of things off and put new ones on it, but it's a little bit more significant than there. Yeah. So, Jay, in your professional opinion, do you think this board is a lost cause based on that, or do you think we're dealing with something here which, if I replace those connectors and those components, we might have a reasonable chance of that thing firing up? Papery things will remove themselves in the cleaner, don't worry. Eating homemade moussaka. There's someone with a Greek heritage. Okay. Okay, looking. Just checking the chat here if there's anything I need to respond to. Good. So, well, the most important thing about this board is it is not mine. And it wouldn't be my first donor board, that's for sure, but it would be a donor board for that particular vintage. It is not my intention to set myself up for doing consistently those sorts of repairs on those newer Macs. It's not, I much prefer to fill the vintage niche. It's more rewarding for me. It's what I like to do. 80% chance of getting this working. Unfortunately, no way to know if 59 volt went to the wrong place until you're done. Yeah. I'm Greek heritage, wife is Italian, best of both worlds. Fantastic. So, moussaka and lasagna. How about that? On the same plate. All right. So, what are we going to do? I mean, I might end up just having to stop the stream unless I can think of something interesting to do. Haven't we got 30 people watching at the moment? Have I got anything to recap floating around? Let me just, hang on, I've got this box over here. I think it's got some recapping in it. Let me just check. I'll be right back. I'm not going far. Did I move the box? Oh, here's the box. Oh, wow, this is a heavy box. What is even in this box? Shivers. Oh, look at that. A couple of analog boards. Might have a look at that. What's in this one? This looks like an empty box. Yeah, that's an empty box. Oh, I've got a couple of analog boards from Classic or Color Classic or something like that. Let's have a look at those. Because why not? Ooh, oh, shivers. No, that's a Color Classic. Even better. Two Color Classic analog boards. I may run out of capacitors for this. I might have to go in and order some more, but we can at least have a bit of fun. Steve from Mac84 recently did a little recapping vid with this. Am I correct, Steve? If you're still around, we had he did a live stream where he did some recapping. I think it was a Console 5 kit from memory. Just looking for anything reasonably identifying on this board, because when I have two of them, I like to be able to have photos so I know which one is which. Now, these ones I think don't actually have a serial number on them. Logic boards all have a serial number on them, but the analog boards don't. Oh God, I'm not even looking at the top view. Let's do the top view. It's solid blue scuzzies, just 10 more minutes. Okay. Yeah, I do actually have a couple of blue scuzzy orders to fulfill. I've had a few come through. I had the sort of disappointment recently of the fact that I have a bunch of blue scuzzy boards that are no good. I accidentally got given the wrong version of the board that had a fault on it. I did correct that fault. I managed to get one of them working, but it's not something that I can use it for myself, but I can't sell it that way. So I've corrected one because I built one and it didn't work. And rather than pull all the components off it, I decided to fix the board. So I corrected the fault with the board, got that one working, and that's just mine. And it also gave me an opportunity to go in and
design a 3D printed case bracket for it, because the bracket I had was for the older version of Blue SCSI. So I have now made a new version, the version 1.1A bracket. I've made two different versions of that. I've made one which is designed to just mount into a normal bracket, and I've made one that's designed to mount into the back of an SC or an SE30, so you can actually access the SD card from the back of the computer. I'm really happy with that bracket. I just think it looks fantastic. If I had the original color PLA filament, I would be able to just make it look spectacular. Yes, I have no ground on those boards. That's correct. So anyhow, that means that I haven't been able to fulfill some of my Blue SCSI orders, which is a bit of a disappointment, but I've got more boards on the way, so they're coming soon. And then, of course, the external ones, these little guys here, these have been selling really well lately. There was a really dead period here over Christmas, and, you know, the sales have just started picking up, so it's all good. All right, so on these Color Classic boards, a lot of these capacitors here end up with leakage, particularly these guys here. There's two tall ones here. It's really common for these guys to get some leakage happening. This guy here too sometimes gets some trouble. This is a little squat guy now, a little short, fat 3300 microfarad 16 volt capacitor right there. One of the things that people ask me regularly, actually that reminds me, someone was asking me about a diode. I've got to look up the diode numbers on this one, because he said, I broke this diode while I was recapping it. Can you tell me what sort it is? And I need to look at the board for that. Well, it's a bit dusty. I'm gonna have to probably pull that off. I've got all that snot. You know how they use that snot for the move. They use that snot to make the capacitors not move, even though it hasn't worked in this instance because they're very, very wobbly. Steve said on flashback. So anyhow, these ones all need to be replaced. These ones here, this one, I usually replace this one as well, and this one, and this one. So need to replace a few of them. Some of them are kind of smaller, not so much of an issue. I tend not to replace those. I mean, they can be replaced if needed, but I'll be quite content not to. And we've got our flyback transformer here, and that there is called an anode cap. So there we go. Know your Mac Color Classic analog board. We need to get this piece of metal off the bottom, this little protective shield. Good to keep it on if you're sending this board to someone to have it recapped, but it needs to come off in order to do the recapping. And the way to take it off nice and easily, watching this, Steve? Steve, you watching this? You lift these little tabs up. They're metal, they're soft, they bend really easily. You lift those two up, and then you can put your fingers there and you can just slide off like that. And then it just comes off. Ba-ding! It's that easy. It's that easy. Steve likes his way better. His was more entertaining. Certainly gobbled up more time on the live stream than mine did. Him taking the bottom off took a good 5 minutes out of his live stream. This is really common on these. See all this darkness here? Because Color Classic analog boards run really hot. It was a very, very underpowered power supply. And for that reason, you do end up with a lot of heat. This one's not too bad. I've seen far, far worse. Yeah, I've seen ones where, you know, the traces are actually starting to lift off the side, off the base around here. But yeah, there's definitely that indication of the heat going on there. Let's at least start taking some of these caps off, eh? We'll start with our big fatties, big fat fatties. They're 5600 microfarad 16 volt. And they are there and there and there and there. Should I use the machine? Steve just got himself an machine the other day, but he's calling his something else. Aren't you calling yours Claris or something like that? If I remember rightly. What happened with the MacBook Pro? We've gone as far as we can go. DJ Craze, hello. Lewis Rossman posted a video of Mr. Clinton the cat discussing right to repair and replica. Oh, that must have been enthralling. I remember a time when he used to do repair videos. How about that? That's how old I am. So quickly, the MacBook Pro, I've gone as far as I can go. I've found all sorts of problems associated with the liquid damage. We've got components that are burned, we've got crisping, we've got all sorts of nastiness, blown up, meltage, all of that. I don't have any replacement components for it. So there's probably about 15 to 20 components that need to be replaced on the board, and I need a couple of connectors. That's the really difficult thing. So I've got to find if I can even get hold of those connectors. So I have to investigate that. I've got to see if I can get a donor board for it, but we've basically gone as far as we can go with it for now. It may well be repairable. We will see, but we won't know until we start replacing some of these parts. So I have got my machine, which is also referred to by some crazy people as a solder sucker or a desoldering station, and I'm just losing things here off the bench, just like that. Now, I had someone saying a really good mod to do with this is to actually put Captain tape around this to try and hold the heat in a little bit better, because it loses heat and then that causes cloggage in here. So we have little things for cleaning out the holes. If I can find them, they were here just the other day. I promised they were here just the other day. I looked at them with my eyes. They've probably gone underneath my microscope. Oh, I think I see one. Yeah, here we are. Here we are. They're all three of them. I found them, all three. Right. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. That's too big. That's what she said. So I just got to clean these out every now and again. Ouch. I don't feel like I'm getting good suction there at the moment, but we'll just see how we go. Okay, a couple of capacitors going to come out here. Melting, melting. So getting that solder all nice and molten, then it sucks away. So we're good. And if I actually manage to undo the right things, these capacitors should fall out now. And I absolutely did not do the right thing. I did the completely wrong thing. I did the transformer, like some sort of crazy idiot. And now I need to solder it back again. Still, it was fun, wasn't it? It was fun sucking the solder out of something we didn't need to suck it from. You'd have to agree. Oh, geez, what did I drop? Oh, that's a SD card. So, let me try looking in the right place now. Looking for caps in all the wrong places. There we go. Get hot. Thank you. Right. Sorry, I think I keep hitting the microphone. So now these caps can come out. Now these would normally be stuck on the other side with a bit of glue and might take a little bit of coaxing to come off, but these have actually, that glue has just come apart, so they've just popped off nice and easily. I'm just going to have a look at them. There doesn't appear to be, there's a bit of gunk there, but it's not too bad. Yeah. This is that snot that they put on. Sometimes I replace the snot, sometimes I don't. Get off. This is not hot glue, like from a hot glue gun. It might look like it, and it may actually even be something from a hot glue gun, but it is not the hot glue that you would buy
normally from hot glue gun. This stuff is actually resistant to much, much higher temperatures. If you were to replace this snot with just standard hot glue from a hot glue gun, in some of the areas of this board that get really hot, it would just make that hot glue melt. So don't use it. If you do want to use some sort of snot on this, if you have the exact same replacement stuff, that's great. Otherwise, I would use some sort of electrician's Solastic, which is that silicon elasticy stuff. You can buy stuff which is specifically designed to be used with electronics. It's not going to cause any issue, and that's what I would recommend using. Right, we've got those big fat caps out, big fatties. Fatties like me. Okay. Not wood glue, yes, don't use wood. Actually, you know what? It might work quite well, who knows? Yeah, just name the desolar machine Claris, yes, so we get a bit of a move. Anyone ever been zapped by a 21-inch RCA black and white 21-inch TV flyback that was only partially discharged at age 14? I have. No, I haven't. I have to admit, I've never been zapped by... I've been zapped by monitors before. We used to have these great big 21-inch monitors. Now, I wasn't getting heavily zapped by them. It wasn't like really bad. But we used to have these 21-inch monitors. They were probably Super Mac or Rastrops or something like that. I can't remember. But they were big 21-inch CRTs. They were the duck's guts at the time. They cost a fortune. They were really good screens. And anyhow, sometimes I would have to move them from one computer to another, whatever, you know. And if you would switch them off and then unplug them and grab them at the right time, and you happen to touch the ground at the back of the monitor, you would get part of the automatic, like the discharge, the bleeder resistor of the flyback, because most of those monitors are actually designed to discharge themselves. You don't need to discharge them. When you switch them off, they will slowly discharge. And I had a couple of times where I went to go move a monitor and I put my hands around it, and you would touch the power connector at the back, and you would get an almighty zap from that. And that was extremely uncomfortable, but not deadly or anything like that. Yeah. I really like the Color Classic. Just thought I'd mention that while I talk about it. I would never pay full price for one. I would have never bought one in the day. Well, actually, I would have if I had enough money because they were cute. But I would not have really bought one for any practical purpose because they are a very impractical computer. Ridiculously small screen, underpowered. But having that little tiny computer with a color screen, such novelty value to it. The age I was that they came out, I was just like, these are so cool. This one, yeah, I got a little bit of gunk on the bottom of this one. That's one of the this one isn't as bad as some I've seen, but I am definitely seeing signs of some gunk here. I don't always remove caps using my machine. It works really well for through-hole caps like this. It's not as good for removing, like, you know, sort of dip chips and stuff like that, but it works really well for these. This one has definitely got gunk on it. I can see that. If I flip the board over, I think we'll see some gunk on the board. Yeah, here it is. Let's get a little bit of zoomy zoom. Zoomy zoom zoom. There we go. Oh, sorry about the vibration there. It's got to focus, got to focus, got to focus, got to focus. Anytime. There we go. It's slow focus, but it gets there. Yeah, you can see the gunk right there. Nice visible leakage. It's always nice to see that from my perspective, because it's just a nice reminder of this needing to be done. If someone sends a board like this to me and is paying me to do this, you've got, well, look, yeah, it needs it. I'm not just doing this for fun and games and to rob you of your money or anything like that. Hey Bruce, would rice work on something like this, or is there trace damage? Sorry, just got here. On something, would rice work on, are you talking about the board? Okay, so you just got here. So unfortunately, I'm no longer working on the liquid damaged MacBook Pro. Essentially, the answer to that is rice really doesn't work much at all. In the instance of this computer, I don't know anything about its history or what happened, but yes, rice can go in and sort of dry things out. But when you have something that has been exposed to liquid like that, you can't really just rice it. You do have to open these things up, properly dry them, get them properly done by pros. Color Classic without 640 by 480, no thanks. My first Mac was a 2SI and loaded alone in the dark. Lynx Pro Mac Arcade Pack and without 640 by 40 would not have worked for me. Yes, I mean 640. My one has been my one was 640 by 480, and then I changed it back again because it was to do with having to test other people's boards. It's one of the main things I do with my computers here is test other people's computers because they send them to me and then I need to test them before I send them back. So I have 640 by 480'd mine, and then I've 640 by 480'd it. Yep, I mean, when you look at the damage of this board, just following up what Googie Clone has said, when you look at the damage that has been done to this board, putting it in rice ain't going to make it work. It needs repair. It's been significantly damaged by having liquid somewhere where it should not be. Not good. Here's another cap. You get a cap. You get a cap. You get a cap. I have a recapping guide for this, and I'm pulling all these caps off without even looking at it to see which ones I should be removing. Pew, 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 pew. You get pretty good at spotting like the layout on the other side, where a capacitor is. There's a kind of a look on the back of like, oh yeah, that's going to be a capacitor there. That one's got a bit of crud on it. Yep, you can see the leakage on the board there. You can just see it around the tip of this one here. If I go, can you see that discoloration when it focuses? Just around one of those pins. Nasty. I should zoom out again. This is impossible, isn't it? The camera that I have over there, I've actually got a remote that I can control the zoom from remotely, but I don't for this one. And then I'm going to take this guy off. I need to actually refer back to my notes from this customer as to whether we're talking about a computer that does not work, or maybe it works or has some sort of problems. I'm recapping it because I've been asked to recap it, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it as a level of preventative maintenance or if I'm doing it as responding to a fault. I've got this sneaking suspicion I have enough caps to do one of these, but not two of them, which is what I have. So I will probably have to buy some more caps in order to get this job finitoed. See, that's nasty. I mentioned this one before. You see that? With that gunk there. Gunnick. Right there. And that is... Oh, crap, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Oh, thank you very much for that, SadMac356. That's my website with the recapping guides. So if you have a look right there, you can see all of this gunk around the edges here. That's from this 3300 microfarad 16 volt cap. Now here's a really important thing about this capacitor. This capacitor sits right next to these two diodes. These diodes get stupid hot, and that heat then is right next to this capacitor. And heat reduces the life of capacitors. So this is a capacitor that might still be happy if it lives somewhere else, but living right next to the heat that's being generated by those diodes, it's reducing the life of that component. When you buy a capacitor, they actually have the number of hours that it's expected to operate for. So you might buy a capacitor that's a 1,000 hour capacitor, or a 2,000 hour, or 3,000 or 5,000 hour capacitor. That number is referring to how long that capacitor is expected to last running at its peak temperature. So we have a look at this capacitor on the side. We'll see that its peak, this one's peak, is 85 degrees C. So in theory, let's just say, we're making this stuff up, but let's just say this cap was a 1,000 hour cap. What that means is the manufacturer is saying this will reliably function for 1,000 hours at 85 degrees Celsius. Now, at the end of that 1,000 hours, it doesn't mean it's just immediately going to die. It might, it could well continue for a long time after that. But that is essentially what they're just telling you is the expected lifespan of that capacitor. Now, as this is an 85 degrees C, which is relatively low, these days you would probably replace it with a 105 degrees C. That's what I'll be replacing them with. But because this has been sitting next to some heat, that's the other thing. For a 1,000 hour capacitor running at its maximum temperature, if it was running at a much lower temperature, you would expect it to last a lot longer. So, but with something like this, being next to that heat while it's operating, this thing is not going to live as long as it potentially could have. So, yeah, so anyhow, not at all surprising to see that gunk here. This is one of the capacitors. It's a capacitor that sometimes gets forgotten, but this is definitely one of the capacitors that needs to be replaced. Sorry. Jay is normally the person that puts in the link to my website, but today SadMac356 snuck in there. How did the MacBook go? We went as far as we could with that, I'm afraid, Thomas. So I need parts. I've got to look into getting a new cable. I've got to look into getting a donor board that I can steal parts from, because we have got quite a lot of damage on the board. Righty. I'm just pulling caps off this, aren't I? I don't know if I'll get this recapped today, but I can at least pull all the bits off it. Where do I keep my recapping guides other than on the web? In a little black folder that is somewhere. I might have to get them off the web. How about that? So, let's go to this website called Recap a Mark. Cap a Mac. There we go. Comes up nice and easy. I've mentioned before on my live stream sometimes how frustrating it is for me when I'm trying to find something that I know I don't have, and I do a search for it, and the only results that come up are results from my website. And I'm like, don't show me those. I know it's not on there. Right. Alrighty then. So we've done that. We want to get those three out there as well. So yeah, we've got to remove those three. We've removed that one, and then a couple more. Okay, yep, good. I'm moving the way. I'm traveling well. I am doing what I thought I would be doing, and everything is fine. So we will be wrapping up the stream soon, because I don't think I'm actually going to go through the whole process of recapping this, because of the wonderful things he does. Now I'm just talking nonsense. Hey. Anyone. Here's a test for anyone. Anyone? Who here knows what this is? I'm just going to point to it again. This here. Very distinctive appearance with these. Who knows what this is? A little flat component with 4 pins sticking out of it. Who knows what that is? I know there'll be people that will know what that is, but I'm just going to ask you. There's a little quiz for someone. Tell me what that is. There we go. Nightly gummy bears. Ooh, mate. Go for the hard stuff. No. Sorry, Jay, wrong. No. Yep, Ezekiel got it. Yeah, so did Enzo. Enzo got it. And so did Nathan. Nathan got it. And Rami got it. Remy got it. Apples Anonymous got it. Eric got it. Sad Mac got it. Yeah, so it's a bridge rectifier. So it is. It's essentially a little loop of 4 diodes in a single package, and it's designed to convert AC into DC power. So AC power, as we know, travels backwards and forwards. DC power goes in one direction. And it is a configuration of diodes in a particular layout that means that when the AC power goes in one direction, it lets it through into a single line, and then when it goes in the other direction, that comes in at a single line, and then they basically run one after the other then. So your AC power going backwards and forwards gets converted into one single forward flow by the bridge rectifier. And then, of course, you need some capacitors to smooth it out after that. Smoothie. Thank you very much to S-Shrek. Your capping guides rule. Thank you very much. Are there many differences between different revisions of analog boards on classic Macs? Yes. So are there any particular type of classic Mac you're referring to? Or are we talking about 128K, 512K Mac Plus? They have a fairly common analog board. There are differences between them, and there are revisions in them. Very early versions of that analog board had some a few little quirks about it. So there's those original ones, and then of course we have the Mac Classic and the Classic 2. They have very similar analog boards, and then you've got of course the SE and the SE30, and they're different again. The 128K, 512K Mac Plus, Classic and Classic 2, they are all using power supplies that are sort of pre-configured for the voltage that's going to be used. Whereas an SE and an SE30 have analog boards or have a power supply in them that can actually switch for different voltages, so they can do 110 up to 240. But there are a number of revisions within those different groups. But if you want to give me a more, let's say, specific question associated to that, I can do my best to answer that. But as I say, there are similarities between different groups, but there are then also certain differences between those groups. But thank you very much for the super chat, much appreciated. I am going to continue taking these caps off because that's what we're here to do. Beep. Oops. Beep. Out you come. Beep. Beep. So it is definitely a mooey type sound that comes from this, but I've just always called it the machine, like the machine's going, are you like working on a board there? There we go. Out you come. So that's that little cluster. Then I'm going to be doing these two over here. Oopsie, these two over here. Let's be careful not to break anything. Because though I do break things from time to time, I don't like admitting to it. Color Classic. So with the Color Classic, to my knowledge, there are 2 revisions of the Color Classic board. I forgot about that. I might even have the 2 here. And the main difference that I am aware of, there are probably other differences, but the main difference I'm aware of with the Color Classic is down here, in this region here. There's one section where, so this one here has a 0 resistance resistor, which is just working as a jumper here. And the other version has a slightly different layout in this area. So there are definitely 2 revisions to the Color Classic board. I've actually got 2 here at the moment. They might be 2 different versions. They might both be the same. But there is one particular type of this which is more common than the other. I can say that for sure. When I get these boards, I'm pretty sure it's this sort more often. And I don't think there are any schematics for this either, which is a bit annoying. But I mean, there are schematics, but they're just not in the public's hands. We know Apple have got them locked away somewhere. And we just need to try and convince them to let us plebs have them. We say, Apple, there are no secrets here. It's not like anyone's going to steal your designs and use them for something else. This is all vintage stuff. So please, can we have the schematics for these so that we can keep this stuff going and keep the dream alive and keep the vintage dream alive and all that sort of stuff. It would be the nice thing to do. Apple have released some of their vintage stuff, like things like their software and that. They've been quite open with it. I think making this stuff available to us crazy collectors. And yes, we are crazy. Okay, ding, 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 ding. I think that's it. That's pretty much all the ones I'm going to take off. So then we just have to put new ones on. Yum, yum, yum. A second of those knowing that had a bridge rectifier. Bad bridge rectifier. Replaced it with 4 diodes and tested the diodes blew up instantly. Turns out there was another issue in the circuit. Yeah, so there is often... so I had an issue with the power supply, and it blew a MOSFET in the power supply, and that then caused they were individual diodes, not a single component bridge rectifier, but it then blew the diodes of the bridge rectifier. So you get in there and you replace the diodes of the bridge rectifier, you switch it on, it just immediately blows a fuse. And it's because the failed diodes were a symptom, not a cause of the problem. The cause was actually a failed MOSFET. And so, yeah, that MOSFET. All right, we're going to have to clean these up a little bit before we put new caps on there. I'm tempted to put this in the ultrasonic cleaner, but I don't think I will. Just get a notification from my car club that there's an event on tonight. Nothing like a little bit of late notice, eh? All right, now can I look at this diode yet so I can tell my mate David what the spec is? Oh crap! I can't see that. I'm gonna have to take it out. But we do that for David because David has been a very good friend to me. I've bought a few Macs from him in the past, and he has given me incredibly good prices on them. And not only that, he has also just given me stuff out of the kindness of his heart. Gave me a whole bunch of spare parts. Gave me a 2012 MacBook Pro with almost nothing wrong with it. A couple of little tweaks I needed. Had to fix it. I think it was David. Pretty sure it was David. But yeah, he's just an all-round nice guy. He's one of these people that you're really glad to have in doing this collecting stuff. And he contacted me the other day. I contacted him about something, and he said, "Do you know what diode goes here?" So I will go the extra distance to find out what the diode is. It would indeed be David P. Oh, hello, Max. Yes, that is the David I'm referring to. And he is a good egg, I'm telling you. In this country, we have a few really good eggs in this hobby. Not me, I'm an arsehole. You know, people like David and people like Jeremy Barhide and yes, from WA, that is correct. And Max is another good egg in the sort of vintage Mac stuff. And I of course should mention Apple's Anonymous. He's another good egg. It's just got some really good people in this here. So I'm really having trouble reading this, but even with the microscope, I'm having trouble reading it. So what does that say? B, I'll repeat that, B 5V 6P H. All right, I better write that down. I joined when I saw you weren't working on a MacBook. All right. Let me just write all this down. I'm going to write this down. So this is for the diode. Someone can look it up if they want. It's a Zener diode, I think this one. I'm pretty sure these little ones are Zener diodes. I think, oh wow, it's a bit cracked, this one. I think the thing with them is, the main thing about a Zener diode is it restricts the flow. Obviously diodes, the main role they have is they allow flow in one direction but not in the other. But with a Zener diode, it restricts the flow until it gets to a certain voltage, and then it does allow flow. I'm pretty sure that's what a Zener diode does, but I could get that. I get things like that mixed up because I'm, a bit of a nod. So someone correct me if I'm wrong about that. B 5V 6PH 6P. Oops, big P H. I might even have a replacement for that, but never mind. I don't need it. This one's fine. I am correct. Oh, good. Okay, there we go. So when you're actually buying a Zener diode, you are Zener, I'm not sure how. But anyhow, when you're buying one of those, 5-volt Zener diode. So I have some Zeners here. Let me see what I've got. Because if I do, because this one's cracked, I'll replace it. But, oh crap, this one's huge. They're massive. 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 What do we got here? This is 35 amp, 47, IN4735A. IN47. That's a Schottky diode. That's also a Schottky diode. Schottky. Here's some more Zeners. Zeners. What have we got here? One N4148. 1N4148. 1N4148. Let's look that up, shall we? Do. Oops. 4148. Do. What's we got here? Do. 100 volt. 100 volt, 200 milliamp. That's what 1N4148 is by the looks of it. High conductance, fast diode. So yeah, we won't be using that. Anyhow, we'll keep the original one in there. So I've actually ordered a bunch of diodes recently because I was working on a few things lately, and just consumer appliances, and both of two completely different appliances from two different manufacturers. Both were using exactly the same diodes in their bridge rectifiers. So I thought I really should have a few of them on hand for if and the need arises. Right, so anyhow, I've written down all the information for that diode, so I can now pass that on to David and feel happy joy that I've done my good deed. We'll put this diode back on. I'll make sure I have the line in the right place, because that's an important thing when we're dealing with diodes. Diodes really need to go in the right way. Otherwise, they aren't serving their purpose well at all. There we go. Soldery doldery. Ow, 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 ow. Wow, this soldering iron's really hot. Who would have known? What's the price of gas in New South Wales? At the moment, I went out this morning because I have to fill up the tank at the moment, to be honest. It's hovering at about 165, I think about 165 a litre. For my American folks out there, that won't make a whole lot of sense, but because you guys use the old US gallon. Sorry about the blur cam. How about I change my view to like something like that? How about that then? Like that then? That then. Right, so we were cleaning. That's what we were doing. And I got distracted because I remembered that I needed to get that measurement. I had to get that for David. Same price here in Canada. Uh-huh. Alex, hello. Thank you for joining. We're looking at a MacBook Pro. We have now moved beyond that. We've gone as far as we could go, basically. And I'm now looking at a Color Classic because I was just searching around for something to do after I went as far as I could with the MacBook Pro and went, wow, what's in this box? Oh my goodness, a couple of Color Classic analog boards. Let's do something about that. I get a very common question with classic analog boards. People ask me, they say, hey, how come I'm getting weird color discoloration? I'm getting discoloration, weird color things going on. Like they might say, oh, the screen's a little bit blue or whatever, you know, they've tried adjusting it and they can't get the color right. When that happens, from my experience, the problem is usually related to this connector here. This here. So this connects into the chassis using this little edge connector-y type thing. It slots in there. And I've found that most of the time, if you're dealing with those sorts of color issues, it's problems with bad connections on this connector. And you need to maybe clean it, or you need to pull it and reseat it. Make sure it's nice and tight in there. That's what I've found with mine most of the time. That you will resolve those color issues by just getting that connection better. And of course, I've had some where pins have been damaged. I've had some where the wires have been damaged coming out of the other side of the connector, and they can cause these problems. Ain't that the truth? Well, that's what I said. No guarantee it's true. Picked up a Color Classic last weekend. You bastard! Got it working. Just took a peek at the original hard drive. Someone was using it until 2016. Wow, that's impressive. Yes, I mean, I have a Color Classic, but I would love to have a second one. I don't know why. I don't know why I need to, but I like them. And of course, we all know about the Mystic mod. I've done a video on the Mystic mod, and someone else has also done a video on all of the other mods. And then, of course, we've got good old Kay Cova and his, what was it, the Tacky mod or something like that? 3.30 a gallon, okay. How you going, all right? Hello, Dana. Hey, Dana, how's it going, all right? Yeah, good, thanks. Good, thanks. Yourself? My turn. Is this a MacBook Pro? No. Shove on the thing and bam, the problem goes away. Yeah. Cursed backplane. Pick up CC from a servo in Penrith for $100 a few years ago. What was it doing at a servo? Wish you could still do that. Yeah, I mean, look, we all sort of lament the deals that we could have done at that time, because all these vintage computers go through this curve. They go through this curve of where they're, you know, when you first buy them, their value's up here, and then the value gradually depletes, and then at a certain point, once it gets past a certain age, the value plummets, and it just hits rock bottom, where the things are worth nothing. It gets to the point where people are literally throwing them away because they're just not even worth the trouble of trying to sell. So they're just chucking them into, recycle or whatever, or they're just giving them away. And they hit that plummeting point. And then you come out of that and you start to go back up again. See, I'm seeing this going on now. You take something like a mirror drive door, right? A G4 mirror drive door. There was a time when you could not give those away. And now they're going for quite silly prices on eBay. An original G3 iMac. There was a time with it, because they're big, they're bulky, they were worth nothing to anyone, and people were just throwing them away. So 100%, mate. 100%, mate. Yeah, 100%. 100%. 100%, mate. Okay. Never owned a Mac. Well, it's easy to rectify. That was the agreed meat spot. Fair enough. Crazy price on iMac G3s now. Yeah, I've actually got, for anyone in Australia, in Sydney preferably, I have a not working, partially dismantled but complete, Blueberry slot loading G3 iMac. I think it's Blueberry. It's blue anyway. Slot loading iMac, and I cannot be bothered trying to fix it. So if someone wants it just for parts or to attempt to repair it themselves, it's yours for nothing. But you do need to be in Sydney because I'm not shipping it. No way. No way. Right, okay, let's put some caps on this thing. I won't necessarily do all of it, but we can at least stick some on. No, I don't have a Console 5 kit, so I'm going to have to go and grab all of these one at a time. Let's have a look here. Oh, wow. Someone's got a recapping guide on the website. So I need, we've got 10 volt, we've got 16 volt, 35 volt, 25 volt. Why did I do it in that order? You're an idiot. You're an idiot, Rain. Why would you do them in that order? 10, 16, 25, 35, 100. 10, 16, I just need heaps of them. Let's start with the 10s, shall we? Oh, or maybe not. We'll start with 16s because they're easier to reach. Oh, I just remembered I've got 2 sets of 16s. I bet you they're all going to be the other ones. 16,000. Yep, no, these only go up to 470. 33, yep, okay. I need my other 16. So maybe we won't start with 16. Let's start with 35. It's right here. Oh, fudgeroony. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Oh, what do we need in the way of 35? We need a 1,000. There we go. I've got a nice little 1,035 there. Oh, well, what are they? Axials. Nope. That was from when I recapped the 2VX the other day, which is now put away in storage. I will probably sell it to someone because I do not need any more 2VXs. I already have 2 of them. I'm off to make dinner. Tune in later. No worries. Can't guarantee I'll be here later, but you go do that. You go do that. Can I ship to Canada, please? No. Blueberry. Blueberry. You know blueberry? You know that berry? Like blueberry, strawberry. Blackberry. But large number of PowerMac G5s from a supplier, and they had some MDDs and could not get rid of, so I picked them up for $4 each. It's funny. I bought 2 mirror drive doors recently for $50 a pop. Not working. I mean, just the power supplies. Everything else works in them. They even had RAM in them and stuff like that. I think they had a couple of hard drives. $50 a pop, and I consider that pretty ridiculously cheap. And then I saw some go, Max, did you sell a mirror drive door for an obscene amount of money? I think, Max, I vaguely remember, I think it was you that sold a mirror drive door for just like silly money. I need to actually speak to you about the power supply too, because I've replaced a whole bunch in one of the power supplies that still doesn't work. And I knew you were fiddling with the power supplies a fair bit. Yeah, look at that, $600 for a dual 1.25. Come on, people, come on. What is going on? That is that way, and that is 100. Oh, excuse me, I just had a big yawn. Sorry, folks. It's been that sort of day. 1,000 microphone, 35 volt. Customers. We're doing recapping today, yes? Why so much for a PSU? Yes, I mean, I think the one that Max sent had the power supply repaired and everything like that. So, you know, it was in good condition. And of course, it is the dual CPU. People like the dual CPU. I now have 3 mirror drive doors. I never really intended to have 3, but I do have 3. So, yay. Now, let's see if my little legs work. I mean, I'm not talking about the ones like under my bum. I'm talking about these ones. Dave is here. Hello, Dave. Thank you for joining. Trying out my little legs here. I don't think they're long enough. I built these. I 3D printed little legs for like these, so that I could get these things up straight. But I need taller ones for a Color Classic analog board because they have a much bigger flyback than the standard Classic. Yep. Oops, just bending things here. Still better than nothing though. Yeah, working all right. They're at least giving me some stability. And then I'll just get my... Oh, wow, that was really uncalled for. Oh, that's heavy. My microscope wanted to start a fight with the analog board. All right, let's see if we can get something that is remotely visible. Yeah, it looks all right. So let's go jump cameras around. Let's do that. I need to go to this thing here. I'm switching between recapping guides and my streaming software. So let's go to Microscope. And then we've got some little components sticking out there. Oh, that's right. You did mention it was going to a business that was using them, actually properly using them, because they still needed older hardware to drive a piece of equipment. Oh, I've broken one of these legs already. I don't deserve nice things. "3D printers are awesome, I have to say. I use the software I use to actually make things in 3D is software that's designed for TV and video. It's not designed for making 3D objects for 3D printers, but because I know how to use it, because that was one of the things I used to do, was do I did still video, but I used still images, but I still used this software called Lightwave, and I do all of my 3D modeling on that. Okay, so there's first cap down. Yes, so Lightwave I use, Lightwave 3D. I used to actually develop some software that worked in conjunction with Lightwave, yeah. So anyhow, I'm familiar with it, so it's just what I use. I'm sure there's better stuff out there, but I'm very familiar with it. So that's the one that gets my vote. It's made by a company called NewTek, for anyone who's researching. What are you doing in Parkley? Oh, that's right. That's just down the road from me is where they bought the G4. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. Oh, I just put my hand over the microphone, which probably made the sound terrible. Right, so we've done 35. Now I'm going to grab my 16 volts, just like that. Oh, let's see what we need in the way of 16s. I need two 1000 microfarad 16. Oh, and I've only got one. Oh, better write that down. Piffle. All right, I'm going to write this down so that I know. 1000 UF 16 the. Okay, so at least we got one that we can replace, but not two. 3D tool other than OpenSCAD. I can't edit, download STL files to make little tweaks. Yeah, so the problem I often have with when I'm doing 3D modeling is that the software that I use, which I said is Lightwave, doesn't use three-sided polygons. You know, so typically when you're dealing with 3D software, they build the whole thing out of little triangles. My one actually allows you to build things from as many pointed as you want. So you can have a flat plane rather than all being divided up into little little triangles. It can actually be sort of 5-pointed, 10-pointed, 20-pointed, whatever. You can have as many points as you want on a flat plane. So whenever I get STL files that someone else has done and I bring them into my software, they're always tripled. They're always turned into triangles. And that means a lot of the time I end up redrawing them in my software if I'm tweaking them. But if you've already got an object in 3D space, redrawing it is really easy to do. So, you know, I can just go in and find the points and then draw my own polygons on top of them. So, but yeah. Just reading the chat here. About 14,200 kilometres away from Sydney. That's a fair distance. That's a fair distance. All right, so that's one cap. So that's a 1,000. Yeah, all right, so we're no good there. 3,300 16s. I need two of those, and that's a low profile. Hang on, what? Oh, okay, no, hang on, I've got, what? These are the tall, thin ones. Let me just check and make sure. These are Nichicon. That's a good brand. They're 105, so they're fine. I can use these ones, 3,300 16. And then I've got my little fat 3,300 16. My little fatty, like me. Oh, I found the recapping guide. So that's good. I don't need to keep referring back to the thing. So the thing next to the thing. Oh, there's my hand. So this here is the one we're replacing. And remember I mentioned that one we're replacing was 85 degrees C. And you can see the one we're putting in here, which is a nice, good quality Panasonic, 105 degrees C. So this one here will actually be much more resistant to the heat that's generated in that area. So this one should theoretically last a lot longer in that place. So we're not just recapping it, we're making it better than it ever was. It's, you know, we're making it like the Bionic Man. So that one goes plus that way, minus that way. Yeah, a really interesting thing. I do quite regularly get boards that other people have recapped and they've sent it to me to try and figure out why it doesn't work. And can I tell you, regularly, not just occasionally, regularly when people send me stuff to repair that they have tried and failed, I find a cap around the wrong way. So I just want everyone to stop and think about that for a minute. That you've gone in and done your recapping job yourself and it doesn't work, and so you've decided to send it to someone else who might be able to fix it. And I notice a cap on the wrong way. I just keep saying it to people, check your work. Something fell down. What's the first thing you do? Check your work. So yeah, I just want to let people know that, I mean, you've got to check, because you might think it's all fine, and then it gets sent to me, and then there might be you know, a capacitor around the wrong way, or there might be a solder ball jammed into an IC somewhere. Not mentioning any names about anyone who might have sent me a board with a little solder ball wedged in between a couple of pins. Okay, what am I looking at here? This is a 3316. There he is, down the bottom here. Resistor net's installed the wrong way. You did discover that yourself though, Steve. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. Okay, plus. So we already know we can't recap this one fully, because I don't have all the caps I need. I mean, I do, but I do have a couple more of these ones, but they're not particularly good quality caps, and so I'm not going to put them into this. I like to put quality in when I am recapping my customers' boards. Quality. You've got to have quality. Oh, I broke another one. I think. I'm good at breaking these little footses. Yep, there's another one broken. So it's a good plan. It's a nice idea, but I need to find a way of making them stronger. DB25 on the wrong side of the PCB. Wonder who on earth would do that? No one. Fuller. Did you ever see? You're not going to ask me. Is someone about to ask me about the SC30 board that's supposed to come here? Yeah, no, it hasn't arrived yet. I'll put it this way. I'll tell you when it arrives. How about that? Look, there is something that I need to do. So essentially, that board is with someone, and that someone has a few things here for me to repair, and they're not the normal things for me to repair. One of them is a G4 laptop, which I don't normally repair. One of them is a fairly modern iMac, which I don't normally repair. And there's another one which is something I repair, but it's got a weird problem. And what I need to do is I need to address some of those repairs so that I can then get back to that person and say, hey, about that board you sent me, it's all done. Well, that computer's all fixed. And then I can then say, oh, so do you want to come and pick them up? And then I can get that board from you as well. It all basically comes down to the fact that I am just so far behind on repairs at the moment. The truth of the matter is, I don't have time to run a development business, which basically pays all the bills, to do live streaming and run a repair business at the same time. I can do repairs on the live stream as a bit of a novelty, but we're talking about a quantity of repairs that it's just, I'd only be doing like one repair a week or something like that, but they come in faster than that, so I just don't get through them in a timely fashion. Some people, they say, hey, can you do some recapping for me? Oh, yeah, sure, no worries. A box turns up and it's got like 10 boards in it, and how long is that going to take me? And then I go in and I find 5 of them work, 5 of them don't work after recapping, and then I've got to go through and diagnose them all. And I now have this box sitting here with this whole stack of boards with half of them working, half of them not working, and a huge mountain of, diagnostic work to do. And it just kind of throws a spanner in the works. And I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad who might have sent me a whole bunch of boards. That's fine. But it's just one of the things that ends up happening to me. I still haven't been able to get your 2SI board to work, Max. I don't know what's going on with it, but I've got all the other ones working. Have some Mac 2s for you to repair. Yes, yes, indeed, Apple's Anonymous. And I am hoping that some of them, when I repair them, might even stay here and not go back. I only have 2 arms and 2 legs and can only be in one place. You know, one of the things that I hear all the time, just the nature of the beast of what I do. People say people starting their sentences to me like this all the time. They say, I know how busy you are, but that is the start of a sentence most of the time when customers are talking to me. I know how busy you are, but, and I'm just so used to hearing that. Where's my 1000? I've got my 1000. I had 1000. Did I put him in? I don't think I did. What did I do with it? I mean, I didn't have 2, but I did have 1. What have I dropped it? What? I'm sure I didn't put it in the board. I did those 2 and that one, but I didn't do the one. Oh, here it is. Found it. See, it's just here. Everyone relax. Everyone can relax now. So this is a 1016. I wonder if I have a 25. I might be able to use that instead. 2 1016s. 1016, 1016, 1016, 1016, 1016, 1016. There we go. There's one. I'll put this one in. So that one goes with the positive that way. I'm not sending you any Mac 2s if you're keeping. I don't actually need to keep Mac 2s. I have ample Mac 2s. I've got 3 Mac 2s. What I'm after are Mac 2Xs or a Mac 2X and a 2FX, but I have plenty of Mac 2s. It was kind of funny because I was after a Mac 2, just one. I only wanted one. And then all of a sudden ended up with heaps of them. But I only have one working power supply. One of them came without a power supply, one of them came with a busted power supply, and one of them came with a good power supply. The busted power supply I do still hope to fix one day. When do I find time to repair my own stuff? You know, having trouble finding time to repair other people's stuff. Right, that was the 1016. So that's all our 16. So now let's have a crack at 10 volts. There's a whole stack of 10 volts. So let's get 10 volts. Why are you all the way over there? How am I even going to reach you? Right, so here we go. So here's the 5600s. We have 2 5600s. These are the big fat guys, big fatties. And then I have a 1010. There we go. I got one of those quite happily. If you want a 2X, just get an SE30. It's not the same. You know, I mean, apart from, yes, the obvious thing of the fact that an SE30 is missing a few new bus slots and missing color capability and all that sort of stuff. But it's, you know, this is collecting is about, you know, having gaps in your collection and filling those gaps. I mean, I have, you know, you look at it this way, right? I have a Macintosh 2VI and a Macintosh 2VX. Now you immediately think, well, why would you bother with a 2VI? The 2VX is faster. Just have the 2VX and get rid of the 2VI. No, but I've got the pair. Same with the 2CX and the 2CI. I've got a 2CX and I've got a 2CI. Now you could just say the 2CI is faster. Chuck away the 2CX. No, I want the pair. They came out as them as pairs, and I want them. And it's the same with the Mac 2s. I want a 2, I want a 2X, I want a 2FX. I've already got I've got all of the other in the 2 range. Okay, so we're going to do this, and that is, just checking, always want to check, got to check, pluses on that side, yes, good. So we're just going to bend those down. Bend those down. My wife's making a cup of tea. Can you hear it? I want a cup of tea. I'll go and get one in a moment. I am going to end this stream fairly soon. I very shortly will have put on all the caps. All that I can. I can't put them all on because I am missing a couple. I have to order some more. Give Mouser or DigiKey or whoever some of my money. I generally buy from Mouser, DigiKey, or RS Components. Oh, and sometimes Element 14. Element 14 carry quite a bit of stock in Australia, so if I'm in a real hurry for something, I'll order from Element 14 if it's something they have locally. Same with RS Components. So when it comes to deciding who I'm actually going to order from, it usually has to do with what else I'm ordering. If all I was ordering is some caps, I can just go with any of them. But sometimes I'm going, well, okay, I'm going to go order some caps, save on delivery, I'll order a bunch of other things as well. I'll go and get a few different components. I might get some diodes, or I might get some resistors, or I might get something like that. And so I will then, what those other items are, and in terms of their availability and all that sort of stuff, that will decide which one I end up going and ordering from. Last few orders I think I've done from DigiKey. Even though they come from overseas, they deliver with unbelievable speed. Very impressive. You are well aware there's a lot of... Oh God, things are falling down. Rode Apple models released. Apple went a bit overboard in the late 80s and 90s. Yeah, I don't worry about completing those collections. So I have a few of those sorts of things, just a smattering, but I'm not actually out to go in and get like every single frickin' performer ever made. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. I like to have things. One thing that I'm missing at the moment that I would really like to get is a Quadra 650. But I have LC1, LC2. I've got sort of LC3. I've got an LC475, which is also a Quadra 605. I've got LC580. I've got one of those all-in-one performers, the black, the Director's Edition one, 5500 or whatever it is. I've got, I've got like a 7300 and a 7500, and I've got a G3 desktop. I've got a G3 beige desktop. Got a G3 beige tower. I've got, I mentioned 2VX, 2VI. I've got a 660 AV, I've got a 610, I've got a 6100. So yeah, I'm not necessarily out there to fill every single gap in the collection. I just don't have the space to do that. But I have certain models which have nostalgic value for me, and that is a lot of the Mac 2 range, because that was when I was, in the early days of my working with Macs professionally. So when I very first started working with Macs professionally, which is 1989, I'll say that again without my Australian accent. 1989. I often, when I say 80, people think I'm saying 90. So 1989, I started working with Macs professionally, and at that point, we were working predominantly with SE30. We did have some pluses, Mac pluses, and original SEs as well. We had 2CI, 2CX. I think there was a 2X, but I'm not sure. There wasn't a 2. I got a Mac 2 later on, but So anyhow, there are certain models that have a great deal of nostalgic value for me. And then, of course, we then did the transition into 040, so then we went into Quadra 700, Quadra 800, Quadra 900, Quadra 950, Quadra 840 AV. All of those sorts of models, they have a very big nostalgic place in my heart. Do I have a Radius Rocket card? Yes, I do, and you can't have it. Yes, so I got a lot of computers recently. So someone was selling a bunch of computers, and just I actually got tipped off about it by Max, who's in the chat here. He said, "This guy's near you," and he was. It's a couple of suburbs away from me. And Max would have grabbed it himself if he was local, but he wasn't. So he said, you want to go grab these. So I contacted the guy and I got them, and I walked away with about 8 computers, I think. And there was a Mac 2. That was the one that had no power supply in it, but it did have a Radius Rocket inside. And I think it also had a network card and a display card. So I got a Mac 2. I got a couple of 8100s, or were they 8500s? I can't remember. I gave one of them away. I think they were 8500s, I think. There was... I was trying to remember everything. There was so many things there. There was might have been a 2VX in there. I think there was a G3 desktop. There was one of the PowerPC 604 machines with a 7 in front of it. I can't remember which one though. God, I'm struggling to remember. I did have a big list of it at the time, but I managed to get a pretty decent haul in one go for under $200. So Sonic Crescendo G3 500 MHz 224 RAM. Added in a Tempo Trio and 10100 Ethernet card, and good to go. Yes, indeedy. I have to admit, the Radius Rocket is one of my most prized possessions. I love putting that into the I've got it sitting in a 2CI. It runs really well on a 2CI. I put it in a Mac 2 and it didn't work as well, but it works really well on the 2CI. And just having that thing fire up into 040, and in particular if you're running in System 6, running System 6 on an 040, it is super fast. It's just crazy. Crazy fast. All right. Now, I am just taking so long to do this because I'm just chattering away. So I've got my little 5500s in there. What else did we have? That was 10 volts. We had a 1000. I pulled that out, didn't I? Yes, I did. So where's my 1000 10 volt? 1010 volt goes right. God, someone's listening to some doof doof music out there. Doof 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 doof. Awful. Awful. Just awful. Oh yes, 8100 should have included a box of Band-Aids when you repair them. Same could be said for like 800, Quadra 800, Quadra 840 AV. The thing that I get frustrated about the most with the 800 and the 840 AV is the fact that you need to take the logic board out to upgrade the RAM, and the fact that you need to remove the new bus cards to get the board out. So you want to upgrade the RAM, you've got to open the bloody thing up, you've got to undo that stupid little screw at the back, you've got to take out that little plastic twiddly thing that's holding the new bus cards up, which is a dumb design anyway, because the new bus cards were going that way, and so you needed a little plastic thing to go in there and hold them up. So and then you take your new bus cards out, and then you slide the board out, and the power supply's got to come out, and getting that power supply connector out of the top of the board's a pain in the bum too. There's a speaker plug as well. You slide the thing out, and then you upgrade the RAM. Upgrade the RAM. I mean, fifth. Okay, what are we up to? 25. We need 25 volts. 25. Do we have any advance on 25? 25 volts. 25. This one's over here as well. So what do I need? Two 470 25s. 470. Here we go. Got a couple of those. What are these? Let's just check these, make sure these are reasonable quality ones. Yep, 105 degrees C. Sweet. Sweet. I honestly don't think I've ever even opened up an 8600 or a 9600. So we are looking at 470.25, and there's one there. And there's one there. There's the weirdest noise coming from one of my neighbours' houses. I don't know what they're doing. Or maybe it might be like a line trimmer, whippersnipper type thing, you know. They might be doing their lawns. Cool. I got two 7200s today and a 6100. Nice. 6100s are, well, you know, I mean, I suppose we shouldn't be too critical of them because they were, I guess, something special for the day. But the 6100, I believe, that was the transition across. That was one of the first Macs that had the PowerPC chip in it, if I remember correctly. In the same case as a 610, but had a 601 CPU in it, PowerPC 601. And of course, PowerPCs did, in my opinion, didn't really start to dazzle us until a little bit later on. And of course, we were still going through the transition from the old, you know, into the, was it universal binaries at the time, because that was all new. I got a whole bunch of caps here, that I have taken out that aren't on my guide. And oh, great, there for containers I've already put away. Awesome, awesome. I'm happy about that. So that is a 35, 35, and 100 volt. Oh. There's a 100 volt down here, right on the bottom of the pile, so everything's going to probably fall down when I do this. I hope everyone's just keeping themselves entertained here. I feel like this stream has just been going on forever. 47 100. Where? I've got two 100 100s. 100 100, two of them. And then I've also got a 47 100. Oh, look at that, I got one of those too. Isn't that good? Forever and a day. Oh, another. Okay, yeah, cool. It's all right. It's everyone. It's all good. And is that 100, 100? 100 microfarad, 100 volts. There's the positive, and there's the negative. Make sure you accentuate that positive. Where's the other one go? 100, 100. There it is. He goes there. God, this is getting tedious, isn't it? Thank you for everyone sticking around, persevering with this. This must be like bloody watching grass grow. Even I'm falling asleep. Keep an eye on the chat here. Need to be a good host. Equivalent series resistance. Yeah, it's always good to remind me. You never know when it'll forget. I might just learn something new and then that'll just drop out the other part of my brain. Diagnosing a Franklin Ace 2200. Cool. Don't mess with Mr. Short Circuit. Ground is overrated. Yep. Where have you been, Jay? You've been just lurking, working and listening? A bit breezy outside here at the moment. We had some lovely warm days, but we're in these pretty nasty sort of days. They're not particularly pleasant weather at all. The winds out there at the moment are sounding like they could actually be a bit damaging. Which we would not wish on anyone. It's nearly 4 o'clock. Oh, caramba. I was a little late starting today, I suppose. Oh, I just broke another leg. I'm getting good at breaking these legs. Just keeping an eye, just lurking. Okay, cool. Just checking. Right, I've still got a few gaps on here, so let's see what we can fill. That one's looking good apart from that gap there, which I think was, yeah. So let me just check the 25 volts. That's not 25. That's 25. Yeah, in the interest of getting this done, you know what I was going to do? I was going to stick 1025 in place of a 1016. Just because I want to get it done. 16, yeah, cool. So, because I have this really pretty 1025 here, good quality, Panasonic. You gonna fit? Yeah, you fit. So just a reminder to folks that are doing any of this stuff, it is okay to put higher voltage rating, but don't put higher capacitance rating on. Stick with the same capacitance rating, but you can go up in voltage, but don't go down. And if you do go up, don't go up too far, or you may have an impact on the equivalent series resistance, also known as ESR. Dun, dun, dun. Just have a go at my brain there, just remembering things. Okay, so that's a 250 volt. Let's grab my 250s. There we go. He's the one that's hardest to get. He's on the very bottom, on the left-hand side, furthest away from me at the bottom. That sucked. Okay. What did I say it was? Anyone? 10 microfarad. 250 volt. Ugh. We're getting near to the end here, folks. Anyone who's just sitting here going, oh God, I wish you'd finished so I can go get a coffee or something like that. I'm nearly finished. So, you know, it's good. And you know what I also have to do? I've got to go in and look at this footage, and then I've got to make a thumbnail. I'll probably have to rename this stream too, because I've spent more time on this bloody classic than I've spent, Color Classic, than I've spent on that MacBook Pro. So I'll say, liquid damage MacBook Pro 2019 and recapping a Color Classic. Creative name, isn't it? Snippety snip. Yeah, snooper too much. Right, and those two there, they're both 35s, 220 and 470. So, have I put the 35s away already? Yes, I did. I might clean up my 2C this afternoon if I have time. What did I say? 220 and 470. Oh, I need some more 470s. got 2 left. I hate buying caps. I hate buying caps because you end up spending all this money and it doesn't have that direct relationship to making the money. You know, you sort of, I know that the caps are there as part of the repair work that I do on these, but I can be in a situation where some of these things where it takes me so long to get the thing recapped and then to get it back to the customer and then to get paid for it. Then when I go and spend the money on the caps, it's sort of like, I'm just sinking money into this hobby. It's bloody crazy. Idiot. I need someone to freeze time so I can get all this work done. That's 220, 220.35, yes. Plus now it's 470. 470.35. Yeah. I'm desperate to wash my hands. When I do this stuff, my hands just gradually get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, dealing with all these grubby caps. And then I get to the end where I'm sort of like, oh man, I just want to wash my hands. I think that's the last 2 caps. And then we can consider this board recapped. Just want to apologise to Ron from Ron's Computer Videos, who I confused the hell out of recently when I, as a joke, said my business name is Branch Ass Creations. And then I confused him because he then started thinking he'd been pronouncing it wrong the whole time. When in actual fact I was just making a silly joke. It is pronounced Brankus. And he had been saying it right all along. I just decided to confuse the hell out of him. Right, well that's it. All recapped. Shall we try it? Don't even know if I've got a Colour Classic down here. Might have. Oh, well done. Congratulations, Joe. I'll just see if I'll see if the Colour Classic is accessible. If it's not accessible, I won't bother. But if it's accessible, we'll give it a try. Hey, it's accessible. It's dirty. My God, it's got a bit of grit on it. So let's just move this out of the way. We'll try it out. Oh, look how dirty it is. This is mine, by the way, not anyone else's. Whoops, that's a little bit the other way. There we go, that's too far. You can't go as far as you can see my fat cut. Sorry. Okay, that'll do. That'll do for now. So we're going to whip this analog board out because I've got an analog board in this one. And the process of doing that, you will find, if you're ever wanting to know how to do it, you will find that I have a guide for that. This hasn't been turned on in ages, so I do not need to worry about discharging it. So if you're looking at this and thinking, hey, you haven't discharged it, it doesn't matter. It has no charge left in it. So, but if it did have a charge in it, I would do the thing with the thing. The discharging. This has no logic board in it, so that's where's the logic in that? Oh my goodness. So There goes that analog board. That's a good one. Where are we going to put him? And I do have a good logic board floating around because I repaired one just recently. And it's mine. I got it from my good friend Jeremy Barhyde, who had it and knew there was something wrong with it. And I repaired it. It was the one that was missing a component on the back, which I replaced. It had a scratch or something and it had knocked out a component. So this is it here, I believe. A little logic board. I do believe it's working. Yep. I mean, I'll know which board is which because I have serial numbers recorded, but I think this is the right one. But either way, it'll work. That's all I care about. Just need it to work. Yep. Yep. Come on. Oh. Yes, that is correct. The Color Classic does have a Sony Trinitron screen in it, and you can even see the Trinitron line. For those who weren't aware, there are a little metal meshy thing in there holding the grill on the front or something like that. And so they have a Trinitron line, and this one has a little Trinitron line just right across there. God, this thing needs it clean. I'm gonna clean it up. So this is the one that I have been busily recapping. I have not gone in and checked every single capacitor to make sure it's around the right way, and I probably should do that now because, you know, check your work, that whole thing that I say. Yes, yes, yes. What? Yes. 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 Yes, yes. Yes. Yes, yes. 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 All right. Yes. Well, I'm feeling confident enough to try it out. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? It just blow up, eh? It's not the best camera view, I know. I do realise that. I might change it to front view. Oh, actually, I'm going to put the piece of metal on. Oh, crap, it's underneath stuff. Underneath stuff. Gosh. I need more space. I don't have enough space. I've got to do something about this this area that I'm working in here. Every time I try and find some new space, it just gets taken up by something. Franklin has now passed 100 RAM tests, where before it would fail within 10 tests. Well, there you go. I think you consider that a success. There we go. Okay, just going to put this little metal protectory thingy, probably, I guess it's probably an RF shield, onto the bottom. And then we'll just slide this analog board in. The analog board is quite easy to go in and out on this little guy, which is good. One of the little mods that I made on this particular board, which, well, this Color Classic, which is not on any other Color Classic, I have set up a little piggyback thing on the LED. So this has a power LED on the front. And what I did was I pulled the whole thing apart, a little power LED, and I put a red LED and glued it right next to the green one, and then ran that red LED as an activity light to the hard drive. So what happens is when you switch this computer on, it's green when the power's on. When you get drive activity, that green light flickers red. And I love it. I love drive activity lights. I don't know why. I feel like my computer is talking to me. And so that enabled me to have an activity light on a computer that never had an activity light. And I like it. God, that's close. That's not my fault. Someone else did that. That's Apple's fault. A little bit of ground going on there. Let's pop this on here. Come on. I said, let's pop this on here. Why aren't you going on? Oh, that's why. There's a bent pin. How, did I just do that? Guess I must have. I mean, I pulled the thing off. Let's try it now. That's a better. Okay. Got that. We're going to better put our anode cap on. Weird things happen if you don't put your anode cap on. Weird, unpredictable, noisy, flickery, kind of high voltagey, nasty things happen. There we go. There's my anode cap. There's my microphone. There's my yoke. There's my... What is that? That's the thing. The thing on the back there. And then I've got to connect up the speaker so we can hear if it goes bing. Right. And there is one thing that I need in order to test this that some other computers don't need, and that is a keyboard. Because you cannot switch these on easily without a keyboard. Which is behind me here. There we are. Come on, Mr. Keyboard. I have more of these keyboards than any other type of keyboard, and I hate them. They're my least favourite type of keyboard. They're stupid. Alrighty then. We're going to switch this on, and we're going to hope that everything goes fine and we don't have any power blackouts or anything like that. Stranger things have happened. So if at this stage the live stream just suddenly stops, it's because I've probably blown a fuse. Don't worry, I won't have killed myself or anything like that. I'll just blown a fuse. So under those circumstances, I'll say, thanks for joining. See you later. Bye now. But let's hope that doesn't happen. So ready, 3, 2, 1. That's fine. So we hear that degaussing sound when we turn the power on. So that's essentially the standby button on the back. And then I've got a keyboard here, and I'm going to press the power button. I should point this down so you can see. There's the little power light. So when we press that, we want to see that go green. Delicious. I'm just going to wait for this to fire up. It's not making any horrible noises or anything like that. Often when you have problems with the analog board, you're likely to hear popping or flickering or something, flicking, and stuff like that. Crackling. If there's any discoloration on the screen, I'm not overly concerned about that because I'm pretty sure there is a problem with the connector on this here, but it is making a funky noise at the moment. Oh, thankfully that noise is coming from my CRT and not from the analog board, so I think. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's squealing some. Where is that noise coming from? And of course, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I'm not getting any. I'm not getting any. Any. That could be the logic board. And the fact that I got a chime is very good. You can hear it, yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Is it the flyback? just stopped. That's really odd. I'm going to grab another logic board to see if, because this logic board maybe doesn't work. Yeah, I just want to get the, so here's what I would do under this circumstance. I won't necessarily do it today, but what I would normally do under these circumstances is I would swap over the analog board to see if the sound follows the analog board. If the sound follows the analog board, then I know that that issue is related to the analog board. But what I really want to do at the moment is put in a logic board that I know works, and maybe this is the one that I know works. This one looks quite good, actually. Let's try this one. I mean, to get that chime, we know that the ROMs are talking. Your ROMs are talking. We wouldn't get a chime without ROMs. Okay. Ready? Okay. Gonna switch him on. Another good chimey one there. Still definitely got the weird noise. Oh, now this time I think I've got a cursor up there. Does that look like a cursor to you? No, there's a bit of grit. Yeah, now we have a cursor. There's a cursor. So I've got a cursor there. The screen looks a lot better. And then I'm about to get a flashing question mark right here. Right there. Right there. Like that. Right there. I can boot because I've got a SCSI device here. You're even slower and have an even tinier screen. The Color Classic Nano. I like the sound of that one. Okay, so analog board works, but I've got a weird noise. I've just got to find out where that noise is coming from. I've got to find out if that noise is coming from this analog board or if it's coming from my CRT. And I'll figure that out by just swapping over to my analog board. I'll do that. But I'm not going to do that now. What I'm going to do is we're going to just say, hey, we've got a Color Classic working, and that's just the vintage part of it. Yay! Wee! So we can all be happy that we got to see a vintage computer being all vintagey. And ding! There you go. I've got next to no RAM in this, and all the other things. So all the things. There we go. Look at that. Was that 4 megs? Still making noises. All right. Okay, so I'm going to shut this guy down now. We know that the analog board works, but it is possibly making a noise. If it is making a noise, I'll track down where the noise is coming from and try and sort that out. I'm just going to switch that off, disconnect that, and disconnect that. Move the keyboard over here. I'm going to start saying my goodbyes, because I need to go and get myself some lunch, because it is like 4:15 in the afternoon. And most people have usually had their lunch by then. Ooh, heavy. There we go. All right, so let's not look at my gut anymore. Let's zoom up here. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so I'll do my normal thing where I like to say thank you to everyone for joining me for the live stream today. Thank you for the super chats to those who gave them. Thank you everyone for keeping me company. There were plenty of you that came in and went today. A little bit different from my normal thing because I was working on a slightly newer computer, but I like to keep them consistent though, as is common with a lot of my live streams. I didn't actually fix it. So thank you again. Hope you all have a lovely afternoon, evening, morning, whatever, whenever it happens to be in your part of the world. And I will see you at the next live stream. I am hoping to work on some pre-recorded stuff for the remainder of this weekend so that I can get some of that out. I've got another guide to soldering coming out, and of course I've got my ultrasonic cleaner video, which is well on the way, but still a bit of work to do to get it done. So thanks again, people. Have a good one, and I shall see you at the next one. So, bye.